have more play. So you actually get more time to warm up, I feel like sometimes. So you get to more practice in and more confidence building as well. Because you know what? If you're going on a streak of like, yes, you've lost the first match, but then you win games
Welcome back
back-to-back,
to the
you're
channel.
pretty confident going into the finals there.
Yeah, you reckon you're looking pretty good. But I will say, I went back and looked. I checked every Oceanic tournament that we've had so far, both the regionals and the Oceanic International Championships. Over half of them have actually had a bracket reset. So there's really some potential to sort of see some bracket reset action and see a lot more battles as the tournament plays out. But as we sort of head towards this winners finals, it is worth noting that They Love Jai, Flames fan, neither of these battlers have dropped a single battle in this tournament. Not only a single round, because obviously these guys are in the winners bracket. They haven't dropped a match yet. They haven't dropped a battle, Debbie. None of them. It's ridiculous. 2-0, 2-0, 2-0, 2-0. I mean, that's quite the tear.
Yeah, absolutely through there. And like, it's just, I think it just showcases how incredible these players are. They're young, they're from Perth, they're local. I am incredibly proud and I cannot wait. I think it really does warm my heart to see them both play on the winners final side.
Yeah, and both running some interesting picks as well. Look, we'll eventually get the teams up and ready, but we know They Love Jai is just running one of the wackiest teams that has been running around as well. We can see them up on the screen now. We've got that They Love Jai team, which we'll just run it through again for good measure. We've got that Superior, the Shadow Drapion, the Malamar, Unova Stunfisk, Shadow Alolan Ninetales, the Feraligatr, again, as we've been saying throughout this entire broadcast, the regular, only because he doesn't have access to the Shadow.
And on the other side, we have 89 CGY Flames fan with the Primate, the Shadow Drapion, the Shadow Kanto Marowak, the Jumpluff, the Zoomerl, and the Shadow Feraligatr with, again, a regular Jumpluff.
Yeah, that's right. Really not leaning into the Shadow Jumpluff that has been all the rage through so many tournaments in the lead up to this. But Debbie, I'm looking at this team and I'm just going, Superior is kind of good for They Love Jai. I mean, you've got the double orders, obviously, which sets you up pretty well for a start. But you've also got a great matchup into Kanto Marowak, like a great matchup into Kanto Marowak. You've got a good matchup into the Primate. You've got really decent play into the Drapion because you can do so much damage if you do hold on to that energy advantage. The ability to throw those big, heavy Frenzy Plants. Let's say Drapion doesn't exactly enjoy it.
Not at all.
Even Jumpluff. At least you have Aerial Ace, but let's avoid that one, hey?
Yeah. It has so much bulk as well. I suppose, like, do we foresee that They Love Jai brings the Unova Stunfisk? I mean, we've seen it time and time again. He's been really relying on it. Do we see any play here? What do you reckon, Steve?
Look, it's a little tougher this time, especially when you're staring down the barrel of that Kanto Marowak, right? I mean, just the risk of just getting absolutely floored by some heavy mud-type damage is a pretty scary feat, but at the same time, And actually, I was talking to Jai about this on the floor, is apparently everyone here has talked to Jai, because through this entire broadcast, you know what I keep hearing? I was talking to Jai. Everyone's been talking to Jai, and Jai's got a lot to say, clearly because he's doing pretty well. But that he was talking about how when he does the PV Poke Sims, and I did these before just to check, I was doing the PV Poke Sims on Unova Stunfisk, and it doesn't look good. And he was like, you know what? PV Poke doesn't believe in Unova Stunfisk, but I do. And so clearly it is doing well for him. So maybe going into this matchup against Flames fan, it could be decent.
You got to trust your Pokemon. I think that's the key here. That's why Jai has done so well.
Yeah, look, it's all, the best players decide to run their favorites, and I think Jai is adding one more favorite to the list with that Unova Stunfisk. And, it's not like it has no play here, right? You've got two water types for that super effective electric damage. You've got the Drapion for that super effective ground damage, and still able to do quite a bit of damage across the way as well.
Yeah, through there. So it'll be interesting to see, like, if he does bring it along. I would love to see it if he does. And now it looks like the players have locked in their lines.
Okay, we're going to be getting into game number 1 of the winners finals. Again, this is a best of 5 series, and we're starting off with the Unova Stunfisk into the Drapion.
Oh, we are starting off over here. So we can see the pancake on the field. Does Jai decide to stay in? He does decide to stay in, and we'll see how he plays out here.
Yeah, now this actually is a little bit rough for Jai because the Drapion is going to outpace that first Aqua Tail. He will, Stunfisk will get a little bit quicker after here, but that's going to add up a fair bit of damage quite quickly. And so we're really going to have to wait and see how much damage are these Mud Bombs going to do. And I think the answer is going to be a fair bit.
Quite a lot, I imagine. And Flamesand here actually deciding not to shield, and it does so much damage. That Drapion is now into the red.
Yeah, but look, Stunfisk is even getting down into the yellow at this point. I really do feel like we're in a little bit of a strife here. The Stunfisk is going to get really low after this Aquatail right down into the red, but Stunfisk actually comes out with the advantage here.
Yeah, it does. And like we're able to launch his mud bomb through here, and Flameflame's being like, okay, let's shield here.
Yeah, gets that one protect shield, but Drapion is at the Aquatail now and tries to go for the poison sting down, but Flamespan decides to let the stun. Oh no, he's using protect shield. I think he might regret going for that farm down here.
Oh, we'll see how it plays out. But now they love to bringing out the Shadow Alolan Ninetales.
Yep, he's finally brought it to the battlefield and he's going to try and poison sting down this. Poison sting down, powder snow down this poison type Drapion, and it has a 2-0 shield advantage to boot. Here comes the Feraligatr and actually swaps straight into Gator because at this point, Debbie, I mean, look at the back line. Not only does Jai have a great position with a 2-0 shield advantage to Feraligatr, but as soon as that jump off comes out, he just needs to get to that Ice Beam and is already going to put himself in such a strong position, especially with the Alolan Ninetales in the back.
Yeah, absolutely. Through here now, Flamespan's actually swapping into their jump off and getting this Ice Beam off here.
Was trying to catch a Hydro Cannon into the jump off to try and burn up some energy from it. They love Jai, but look at that damage from the Ice Beam, and now he can even KO with Hydro Cannon. But you know, Jai's looking at this and he's saying, you know what? It's time to finally win with my guy that did so well back at the 2024 Perth Regional Championships. It's time for Alolan Ninetales to get a little bit of the spotlight and actually goes for Charge Attack priority here, throwing the Hydro Cannon to do 1 damage. Jai, I think you can stop hitting bubbles. I think you've done enough here.
Oh, look, I think he just wants to make sure and secures it all in and being able to get to the next Hydro Cannon here. But Flameflame has no shields in play. This is going to hurt a lot.
Yeah, this is definitely going to be a tough one for Feraligatr to take, but in it comes that Alolan Ninetales, throws the Weather Ball, and to be honest, I think this Weather Ball is going to seal the deal. So Jai, after barely running this Ninetales on stream, has finally come back in the winners finals, and just to finish it off, throws that Weather Ball into the Feraligatr and gets game 1 of the series.
Game 1 of this, well, potentially a 5-match battle as well. So how incredible. I'm so happy to see that Ninetales finally come out and we know it's powder snow this time.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because not only did he run the Ninetales, but he actually ran 2 for 2 of his really interesting picks that he's running. His 2 unique picks that he's running. And this is just like how Jai was running in the last Perth Regional Championships, where everyone was sort of looking at him and going, Alolan Ninetales, interesting. And he just kept running it. And he was doing so well. And so it's not like it's just bench pressure. It's not like, you know, some people that run some weird Pokemon that tries to do well in a single tournament. He's intending to run the thing.
I heard about this Welmer once, but, you know, I don't know. It's fairy tales.
Yeah, I don't think that's real. Let's be real. But J-Love Jai definitely doing incredibly well here. And to be honest, in that game, it really was. I do wonder if if Flamespan actually threw the Aquatail to try and get the KO on the Stunfisk instead of sort of going like, oh, I kind of want to use this energy on the Pokemon in the back. I kind of wonder if he might have been in a stronger position because he wouldn't have been at the 2-0 shield disadvantage.
Yeah, through there. But They Love Jai sees the opportunity, saw his like win cons through there and just like finished it off with the chef's kiss with the Alolan Ninetales in the end.
Yeah, it's a lovely way to finish the battle, but of course there is still a lot of battles left to go in this series, and we're getting into the second one here for Feraligatr into the Primeape. This is a pretty interesting matchup, Debbie.
Yeah, I'm not too familiar with this matchup because of the new Rage Fist Community Day move from Primeape, so we'll see how it plays out through here, and both opting to stay in.
Yeah, it's a very good matchup for Primeape if you decide to use your Protect Shields because you can just Rage Fist all the way through. You get to them so quickly with the Karate Chop fast attack as well. I mean, look, he's already got so much energy stacked up and he's actually going for the close combat straight away, trying to make They Love Jai make the call, and Jai actually calls it correctly. He reckons, you know what, that close combat was coming. I could smell that from a mile away. Going for a second close combat as well, and actually this time Jai is actually at the 2 to shield disadvantage.
Yeah, taking down both shields from here. So this Primeape is very so weak and defense dropped, and this Shadow Claw should be able to take it down. And actually, Flameflame's now switching into his own Feraligatr.
Yeah, now this is actually interesting because it's still going to do a lot of damage. As we know, Hydro Cannon is a pretty scary move. It's going to be doing a lot of damage all over the shop, and Jai has so much energy in tow that he can constantly farm up so much energy before Flamespan can even get to another Hydro Cannon, forcing Flamespan to burn his final shield of the game.
Yeah, I believe there's no shields in play so early into this match.
Yeah, and actually Flamesphere just keeps on pushing it. He's like, hey, no, I still want more energy. And he lets Jai throw the Hydro Cannon here. Flamesphere actually got to it first, but this Hydro Cannon, he's got to hang on.
And it switches straight into the Shadow along the Ninetales to absorb this Hydro Cannon.
And it is definitely going to take it on the chin. It's going to do a lot, but it's going to take it down to the relatively deep yellow. And so now you can see on Flamespan's side, there's not a lot of that Primate left, and it's going to be all down to this Drapion. But this is a bit of a problem for Jai because he has that Unobin Stunfisk in the back. And if this was an even scenario, this wouldn't be too bad. But now that Drapion is going to have such an energy advantage over that Stunfisk, this could get really rough really quick. He's almost at the back-to-back Aqua Tail.
Yeah, through there. So it's going to be a really tough. I think Jai's just waiting on the switch timer and just being like, okay, I'm going to have to bring something in here, but I just got to wait it out a little bit.
Yeah, look, here it comes. He's going to try and make a catch. You can see him waiting to swap in, trying to let that switch timer tick down further and further and further. But Flamespan throws the first Aqua Tail, brings it down to about 2/3 healthy, tries to make the catch into Gator, but unsuccessful. Flamespan keeps his cool and is going to Poison Sting that all the way down. It is now in a dominant position into this Stunfisk because he throws the first Aqua Tail here. He's going to throw another Aqua Tail straight back to back. And as long as he can carry this Stunfisk before Stunfisk gets to a Mud Bomb, he's going to be looking pretty good. He also actually has the Primeape in the back, who is a pretty dominating comeback from Flamespan here.
Yeah, through there. This Aqua Tail will connect onto this Unobin Stunfisk, and that means that we have evened the playing field. 1-1 to both of these players now.
Yeah, now if we were in a best of 3 scenario, it would be one battle to go. Someone would be about to win it through and become the first person into the grand finals of the Perth Regional Championships, but it's a best of 5, so we potentially, we have at least 2 more battles left to go to see how this game does end up playing out. And look, Jai has brought Stunfisk Ninetales into 2 games in a row. Does he need to swap it up, or does he keep going with the same strategy, hoping it works out?
I think it's difficult. I think Flameflans has read his game 1 very, very well and managed to pivot and actually take that game 2 quite comfortably. So Jai needs to think going, do I run it back? Or do I be like, you know what? What's a safer option here? And do I switch into something a little bit more meta?
Yeah. I mean, look, it's all meta, right? In some sense, at this point, if you're top 3 guaranteed in the Perth Regional Championships, you know it's going to be on all of those team graphics. You know that he's going to be looking pretty good going into the next couple of tournaments. And so when we sort of look at what They Love Jai could bring, I really think that he's not making ridiculous calls as to what Pokemon he's bringing. I do think that potentially you could bench the Alola Ninetales. Maybe you lean into something a bit more like Drapion. Maybe go like, hey, Drapion's working for Flamespan. Maybe it'll work for me.
Yeah, I would love to see the Superior. I'd like to see that being brought in. I think that would be a bit more of it would cover a lot more bases. But you know what? Tried and true, Jai knows his Pokemon well. So who am I to say what he should bring in? Because you know what? He's in the top 3.
Yeah, I think Jai's doing pretty well for himself. And so he's going to decide to bring the Stunfisk in the lead this time into the Primeape lead. And we've actually ditched the Ninetales and we've got the Superior in the back, just like you requested.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad he listened.
Yeah, now this is one of those matchups that PV Poke has a sort of somewhere in the middle, right? Where it's sort of like, they're each doing quite a bit of damage to each other. And apparently, both these players just wants to farm up so much energy. You'd really think, if you're the Primeape, you kind of want to start throwing those Rage Fists a little bit early so you can boost up the attack of your Karate Chops, but was a little bit cautious. Like, Jai could swap out. I don't want to use up my energy quite yet. And so plays it a little bit safe.
Yeah, I think they were just both seeing what each other would do in these scenarios. And now Flamespan going for the hard-hitting close combat through here. And Jai reading it and shielding.
Yeah, that is a brilliant call from Jai, recognizing he could probably go for the Rage Fist first up and then the close combat second. Even throws the Mud Bomb here to try and get the KO before Primeape can get another move off. But Flamespan, again, similar to game number 1, decides, actually, I want this little bit of HP and my energy because I want to throw one last close combat. And actually, it turns out it's a bit of a shield trade.
There we go. So again, shield for shield. This close combat does not connect. And now Flamespan is able to go into his Shadow Drapion.
And this time, Stunfisk has so much more energy. This is the reverse of what we saw in the last game, where Jai is all of a sudden in a dominant position. Look how much damage this Mud Bomb does, taking it right down into the yellow and actually quick swaps into the Feraligatr to take these charge attacks.
Yeah, there's no shields remaining on They Love Jai's side, so this crunch will connect onto this regular Feraligatr.
Feraligatr looks pretty good into Flamespan.
Oh,
Oh
the-
no, the
the defense
defense drop. That's crazy drop again. Flamespan getting all sorts of crunch drops here. This Hydro Cannon will still KO the Drapion though, and tries to think like, ooh, do I need to get out of here before this defense drop keeps on going?
Yeah, unfortunately, the timer is not up for him to switch out, so he's going to have to stay in here and manage to get to the Hydro Cannon to try and threaten the opposite Shadow Feraligatr.
Look, this is actually looking really good for Jai in this game number 3 because look at where the Superior is sitting. It has got a lot of health. There's not too much health on that Feraligatr, and actually going to come in with the Stun Fist to try and burn that last Protect Shield off of Gator as well. I like this play from Jai.
Yeah, I think it's a very confident play from Jai just to try and burn this shield out, and now just doing all this damage off of this fast attack, and now the Superior comes out.
Tried to catch a Hydro Cannon into the Superior, and all of a sudden this is not looking very good because this Ice Beam is going to connect. Superior is going to get low enough that one more charge attack is going to be all that is needed to KO. And Feraligatr actually going low. What is happening here? The Hydro Cannon is going to come out here. Wait, what is Flamespan doing?
They're stalling. They're both waiting. Oh, no, it's gone down.
Oh, my gosh. I feel like Flamespan had that game, but he decided, you know what? I'm going to try and do something a bit cheeky. I'm going to try and catch something into this Primate, but it just didn't work for him.
Yeah, and that game 3 now goes to Jai. So we are because it is into the finals, we need to play all up to the 5 matches through here. But, so it's not game over just yet.
Yeah, look, Jai only needs one more win to secure himself a position in the grand finals for the second time ever for a 100% grand final success rate in the championship series, which is a pretty crazy rate.
I mean, like, not a lot of players can say that, right? But what a crazy play in the end game just there. I think Flamefans was trying to go for a catch right at the end, but it just didn't quite work out for him.
Yeah, unfortunately, it just isn't how things played out, and so as it is, it just means that we are going to have to go into that game at number 4 with They Love Jai having that match point. And look, I think it was the right strategy to ditch the All Ninetales. I really do think that it was holding it back a little bit going to these games against Flamespan. And I really do like the sort of adjustment that is going on. As you said, you wanted to see the Superior in action, and that is exactly why, because you can come out and be in not too bad of a spot. Now, when you have to come into a Feraligatr with that much energy, I don't know if I would want to be in that scenario.
No, it's a difficult one, but like, it's just incredible that so far in the last 2 matches, the shields have been in place so early into the match as well. So we've been to very like 0 shield scenarios at the end. So it's really, really difficult because those hard hitting charge attacks will hit hard, obviously.
Yeah, but now we are going into game number 4 of the winners finals. You have the Feraligatr into the jump bluff, not where Feraligatr actually wants to be, but you at least have that play of trying to land an Ice Beam into the jump bluff. Or Jai could try and, he's going for the bait with a Hydro Cannon.
Yeah, going for the bait here, trying to conserve as much energy as possible against this jump bluff. And Flamefans not shielding at all.
Absolutely crazy call. Lets the Hydro Cannon go through. I mean, at the rate that these battlers have been burning their shield so quickly, I assumed that it'd be going in a heartbeat. But no, the energy ball now coming out, and Jai does correctly call this. Flamespan not throwing a bait back, recognizing, hey, I called the bait, so I'm in quite a strong position here. And yeah, he is.
Yeah, through there. Now going for the Ice Beam. Flamefans being like, all right, I'm going to shield this time and protect his jump bluff.
Yeah, you're not going to bait me twice in a row. I'm going to take precautions and burn the shield there. But look how much energy Flamespan has now. He's really dominating the start of this matchup, throwing the energy ball into the Feraligatr, and we see there's the Protect Shield in the last second to get that Feraligatr up to the next Ice Beam, because it will actually, swaps into the Superior, potentially expecting the Aerial Ace to come through, but it is now Superior versus Drapion, not necessarily where They Love Jai wants to be, but the Frenzy Plants still do a lot of damage.
They do, and this Community Day move is so hard hitting, and we can see the Drapion already into the yellow, and now going for the crunch. Will he get another debuff? Flamespan has had 2 so far in this series.
Yeah, if Flamespan gets 1 more debuff, I think Jai might just throw the phone. No debuff this time, but we do now have the potential of the Aerial Ace to try and get onto the Drapion, but we see the charge attack priority, and with no shields remaining, this Aquatail is, Flamespan actually undercharges here, tries to leave a little bit of Superior left to go, and so this Aerial Ace is going to fire from the Superior, and it looks like Flamespan trying to get a little bit of farm on his Pokemon in the back.
Yeah, I think this is really clever from Flamefans. Obviously trying to see, being like, how do I play into the back line through here? Bringing his Shadow Feraligatr to actually take down the Superior.
Yeah, this is a really tough position for They Love Jai to be in, because he's facing a Feraligatr with energy, and he's down a shield, catches the Hydro Cannon into the Feraligatr, is doing anything that he can to try and get the advantage out of this matchup here, eats the Hydro into Feraligatr, and throws the Hydro Cannon straight back.
Yeah, throwing it straight back. And Flame Fan's actually deciding not to shield his own Shadow for Alligator here.
Look, always nice to play a little bit of ping pong, throwing these Hydro Cannons back and forth and back and forth. But Flames Fan now going to Shadow Claw that Gator all the way down and is going to have all of this energy ready to fire into the Stunfisk. And Debbie, it's looking like we're going to a game number 5.
It does look like we're going to a game number 5 here. This Hydro Cannon will connect. This Stunfisk is struggling so hard, but look, Flame Fan still has a shield in play.
Yeah, there is so much energy still on Flames Fan's side as well. This energy ball is going to KO the Unova Stunfisk, and this will be GG, setting the winners finals to 2-2.
2-2. We're even the playing field yet again. So it will be the decisive game 5.
Yeah, now this is an interesting spot, right? Because we've come into the winners finals, neither of them dropping a single battle. And they're just trying to look, let's try and make this as equal as we can. Let's both lose 2 battles, and then we'll just try and decide who wins at the very end.
Yeah, look, I think it's just fair. I mean, that's nice camaraderie. So it's nice to see that, we're getting the full value, Steve, of these matches and going to this game 5.
Yeah, it's actually interesting because I know at the last Perth Regional Championships in the grand finals, Rick went all the way into the grands, I think also without dropping a single battle. And so it seems like a bit of a theme in Perth of just trying to sweep your way as deep into the tournament as you can. And, one of these guys, well, unfortunately, they haven't done it this time quite yet. They have got a couple of losses to, dampen their record, but it does mean that only one of them is 1 battle away from going through the grand finals.
Look, it is such a stressful, enjoyable, exciting kind of period at the moment. So I can imagine the nerves going through them, being like, oh, this is really like I've got to play as correctly as possible, because really there is no catch net underneath here, where before you had a bit of barrier. You could be like, oh, I could play a little bit more wild because you know what, I can still do another match. Now we're down to the wire, we're down to the last match. What do you play at? Do you go safe or do you go a little bit rogue?
Look, I think that They Love Jai just really needs to consider how well Flames Fan is playing with that Feraligatr. Feraligatr is that is sort of Flames Fan's big win con whenever he's able to fight through, just by having that energy advantage on the Gator. But here it comes, that decisive game number 5 in the winners finals. The Gator versus the Gator, ready to play, and it's going to be down to who wins Chashak priority, who wants to play what here.
Absolutely. This mirror match through here, and we can see that Flame Fan's going straight for the Hydro Cannon here first, and They Love Jai being like, all right, we can take this.
Yeah, Feraligatr going to take it on the chin again. The regular Gator versus the Shadow Gator. The corrupted versus the uncorrupted, ready to fire these Hydro Cannons back and back and back, ready to fire. And it looks like this Flames Fan is actually going to shield up this one. He wants to keep this Gator around. It did so well in the last one.
Oh, it's proven so strong for him in his last few games as well. So it's double shielding his Shadow Feraligatr here and trying to protect as much as possible. So it will be interesting to see how this plays out.
Yeah, no, in this series, it hasn't gone great for Flames Fan when he does go down that 2 shields, but They Love Jai going to decide to bring that aggressive Shadow Drapion in, protect shielding the Hydro Cannon here to try and get an advantage by getting to these charge attacks so quickly.
Yeah, through here. And now Flame Fans can go for his Hydro Cannon through, and They Love Jai opting to shield and protect his Drapion.
Yeah, this is definitely a big play from They Love Jai. He recognizes that this Aquatail, actually, no, we're going to see a swap into the Drapion. So now this is actually a really powerful position for They Love Jai to be in, because he has so much energy in stock. I mean, these Aquatails are going to be thrown out like nothing else just to try and weaken this thing down. And Flames Fan is just a little bit behind.
Yeah, just a little bit behind through here. Now, there's no shields on They Love Jai's side as well through here. So this Aquatail will connect. However, They Love Jai has so much energy that he's got his own Aquatail to reciprocate.
Yeah, but here's the problem, Debbie. Look at the back lines. Flame Fan is running that jump fluff that is going to be quite decent into that Feraligatr and the Stunfisk that Jai is running in the back lineup. He actually catches the move into the Feraligatr, recognizing like, no, I might need my Drapion later. And if he's reading that jump fluff, he is absolutely correct.
Yeah, through here. And we can see that no bubbles were hit during this period of time. So that basically leaving so much energy, and that the Feraligatr survives.
Yeah, Jai did not want Flames Fan to get much farm on his jump bluff here. And so now it's going to be up to this Drapion to start unleashing this energy. Catches the move into the Feraligatr. This is not what Jai wanted. He will be able to carry the Feraligatr here, but it means that this Stunfisk is going to be in against this jump bluff for quite a while.
Yeah, we'll do through here. And it has so much energy on that jump bluff. So now we're able to see this crunch connect with the jump bluff through here. And we know that jump bluff can handle this quite well.
Look, if there was a time for a crunch debuff, now would be it. But no, no Crunch Diva from the Drapion. And so this Aerial Ace is going to KO the Drapion. And so it is all coming down to this. Who wins the winners finals of the Perth Regional Championship is going to come down to Unova Stunfisk versus Jumpluff. And look, Energy Ball is going to be doing a lot of damage when it lands here. And here it comes. I don't know if Stunfisk, how well it can take it.
Oh, I'm not too sure, Steve. We'll see how far it can go. We do have that discharge ready to go as well on Jai's side. It takes a good chunk of its health. I think it's trying to get to double discharge.
Yeah, this could actually be Jai's game because this discharge is going to do a nice little bit of damage. If 2 discharges is enough to carry this Jumpluff, then Jai has just progressed into the grand finals, and that looks like enough to me. I think that we are going to see They Love Jai discharging down the Jumpluff, the ground type defeating the grass type to win and progress into the grand finals for his second straight regional championship.
100% right into the grand finals. What an incredible run so far for Jai. And that is a beautiful, decisive game 5, 3-2 to Jai there.
And thematic even, finishing the final Pokemon on the battlefield is that Unovan Stunfisk that has been relying on so heavily throughout this entire tournament. I mean, what more can you ask for, Debbie?
Oh, I could ask for a Alola Ninetales, but you know, I can't ask for much. It's all right.
Look, Alola Ninetales would have been even better into that jump off in the back, right? But look, Jai can take his pick. He doesn't even need Ninetales. He's just showing you like, no, I'm going to do it on hard mode. That's how much I believe in my ability. And he should believe in his ability because 100% success rate to the grand finals is pretty solid to me.
I really hope that Unovan Stunfisk gets a little best buddy ribbon in the future because it has been his MVP for this entire regional so far.
Yeah, but look, he has to worry because this is a pretty tight set against Flamesfan, and it may not be over for him because Flamesfan is now going to go into the losers bracket up against. Here comes the Pokemon money, and we'll see which one of them is going to return back to the grand finals. But quickly, we're going to head to a quick little break, and Dr. Legs will take us straight into the losers finals.
We'll see you then.
Welcome back. Thank you so much to Stebble over there for all of the things that they've done in those last matchups. That was fantastic. And now we are into the losers grand final. So the best of 5. Best of 5s are so different from those best of 3s as we just saw.
Yeah, best of 5 is really a battle of endurance when it comes down to it. You can come up to 5 games, and at that point, you're not really reading your opponent's team. You're reading your opponent and trying to make guesses and educated guesses on what your opponent's going to do, bringing Pokemon to counter what you think they're going to bring. it's really just all in the mind games.
There is a lot of mind games, and I mean, I think we saw Pokemon Maker against Avrip really pushing through there, and now he's into that final top three. That interesting thing, that Shadow Dragonite, the Ice Punch, Annihilate. There's so many things he has there for him, and we just got to see if what he's able to do against his opponent today.
Yeah, that is right. And look, we're in the losers final now. We're in the top three battlers. It is 89 Flames fan versus Pokemon Maker. It is all go here for today. We're right at the pointy end of it now. So I think these trainers are going to have to do everything they can to try and earn their spot as the regional champion.
Yeah, and that's the goal, right? That's why you're here. You're here for not just the accolades, not just the championship points, not the prizes. It's also around the mystique of you've won a regional championship. Now, none of these battlers, none of the last three have won a regional, so it's going to be crowning a brand new regional champion in Australia, which is something we haven't done for a little while.
Yeah, this is almost unique for us in the Oceanic region, with people like Jakobovic taking dominant runs through the regional circuit in the last couple of years. So it'll be great to see someone new, someone upcoming. I mean, we've got two young kids on the block, and I will say a veteran of the scene from Japan in Pokemon Maker.
Yeah, Pokemon Maker has been around a little while. We are not yet that used to him, though. He's brand new to this scene, and showing why he has been a very dominant battler in Japan for so long, and still quite a young gentleman himself.
Yeah, that's true. Now, we do just have news that we're undergoing a review for the last game. It was They Love Jai versus 89 Flames. So we are waiting on a result from that before we move on to the losers final. It's one of those things where we're in the finals now. We don't want to make a mistake. We want to make sure everyone's happy with how the game is playing. And while we do that, Trotter, do you have any reflections on the Metamons that we saw today and what you thought might have been coming, what you didn't see?
So one thing that we haven't seen much of has been that Giles' favorite Pokemon, the Ninetales, Alolan Ninetales, and in his matches, it hasn't been used much, and the times it has, don't want to say it, but a little bit of a liability to him. So it has been one of those slightly underwhelming ones, which is obviously it's one of his favorites. When you love something, you've got to play it, right? But it has really been one of those another dominant matches from those Feraligators. Azumarill has been really good at it. It's not winning matches, but it's setting up to win matches, and that's what it's been used by those top trainers so well today.
We see in other games like the Video Game Championship where they have these set up Pokemon that are designed to set up their teammates for success. They've got moves that assist and support their team's Pokemon. And in a similar way here with Pokemon Go, we have those bulkier Pokemon that can get shields or absorb energy and really set up Pokemon like the Feraligatr, like the Morpeko to sweep in the endgame.
Oof, those Morpeko. I'm kind of glad we haven't seen that Morpeko sweep because it is such a frustrating Pokemon if you come up against it, especially in those blind GBL formats where you don't know what it's got, you don't know the moves, and you just feel like you have to shield. And we haven't seen much of it. We saw it a lot with Yusei Furo today, who really used it quite well. It was the win con, but some expert play from Avrip earlier, just that Shadow Drapion just able to get so much energy, it just overcame that. So yeah, I do feel like we will see more Peko. More Peko. That sounds like a great name in future tournaments, and it'll be great to see others around the world how they're going to utilize it. Are they going to run that Psychic Fangs for that debuff with a bait move? It's so fast to get there, or like we've seen today from Yusei, you're going to run that Seed Bomb. Sorry.
Bullet Seed would be an interesting tech as well. But I think Seed Bomb is the move you want to go through at the moment. It does do that super effective damage into those ground and water types, especially the ground types that hard counter that Morpeko being electric type Pokemon. So it is an interesting little way of running it. I personally like the Seed Bomb more. I think it's a lot more fun because you get to nuke things like Quagsire, and that's always fun.
Yeah, but you do need the Psychic Fangs. If you can bait against that Feraligatr, you're able to then flip that match up and win and come out with so much health, right? Because you don't have to shield. You have to shield, but those Shadow Claws are resisted by the Dark type. So you're coming out with just so much health, it really sets you up.
Well, the thing is with the Feraligatr, you can just go straight Aura Wheel and win that matchup anyway.
Very good point. It does win the CAP in that matchup, but I don't know. It feels better. Like it feels better. Like
Yeah.
if you want to take your opponent out, not just win, but win with like a finger on top, you land that bait.
Well, I have seen trainers call the bait and actually flip that matchup. So you're opening yourself up for a lose con. We talk about win cons all the time, but you got to avoid those lose conditions as well, because sometimes that's all it takes is making one small mistake.
Very true, and that's the thing that these battlers have to do. It's often that one turn, that waiting a turn, the switch, the catch, preventing those things is what differentiates those at the top, these last three trainers, away from those who didn't quite make that top cut.
Yeah, absolutely right. And we're at the peak of it now. The trainers that are here are the cream of the crop. They are names that aren't super well known to the broader community, but we know them and we know how good these trainers are, and we're seeing proof of that today. And I'm really excited to see just how much more of this extremely high level skill, this high level gameplay that we're going to get today.
Yeah, and I think that is the beauty of the Australian PvP community in Pokemon Go, is that it's not just a group of people who fight against each other. It's a family. We love coming to these events and seeing each other. It's the only time I ever get to see Steve. It's the only time we see Debbie. Fishy Legs, even though we live in the same state, we may as well be countries apart.
That's absolutely right. Australia is just so broad. But we have just received news that there was no rematch granted in the They Love Giant versus 89 Flames fan match. So we will be seeing 89 Flames fan confirmed against Pokémon Maker in the losers final. Let's have a look at the teams if we can.
Let's get them over there, because we really need to highlight where this Shadow Dragonite can land, because we haven't seen it yet, and I want to see it. It would play so nicely in. So let's go to the teams and hear what we can see here. And look, it's not the worst.
It's not bad at all, really. It's got quite a few good matchups there with the Kanto Marowak, especially resisting those mud slaps so effectively, being that flying type Dragonite. The thing you're going to have to watch out for here is those really spammy Pokemon. Like even the Primate can put pressure on with those Rage Fists because they come out so quickly. Dragonite can 2-shield through that, however.
Can 2-shield through it? I mean, and it's going to be up to the Primate. Does it want to waste one shield on, say, a Dragon Claw? Because it's going to need to, with the fast move damage coming through. Then a Dragon Claw, that's going to take out everything. I'm going to say pretty much everything except for an Azumarill.
I think the Jumpluff will hang on.
The Jumpluff does hang on.
And Jumpluff has the Fairy Wind as well. The Fairy Wind is doing super effective fast attack damage back into that Shadow Dragonite. So that's going to be an interesting point of difference there to see whether that's going to add up enough to put that Shadow Dragonite into a bit of a tight spot.
Yeah, but without the acrobatics, that heavy-hitting flying move, just the Aerial Ace, Shadow Dragonite doesn't need to pull that shield straight away, because there's not a lot of damage coming out from that neutral Aerial Ace. But it's still not resisting, even though it's got Fairy Wind, it's not a Fairy type. So it's not resisting those Dragon Breaths. And it does add up quite a lot. I have tried it a few times myself, and you do lose the ones, I believe, as the Jumpluff, even with acrobatics.
Well, that is tough. So what I'm seeing is Shadow for Alligator. And I've been saying it all day, and I'm going to say it again. Shadow for Alligator, from Flames fans specifically, looks impeccable. It has only got that Dragonite to worry about, and if you get shields down, Ice Beam on a Shadow Dragonite, goodbye. See you later.
I mean, I'm pretty sure even Shadow Claws plus Hydro Cannon, we one shield and that's enough. Like it's just so hard hitting and dominant. But we're gonna watch those Dragon Breaths add up. But now let's look elsewhere for Pokemon Maker. Where is he gonna make his money in this matchup? Because he does have plenty of options here with his own Shadow for Alligator. There's quite a neutral Dunsparce, but it does want to avoid that Primate.
One thing to note, Pokemon Maker is running that Ice Punch on the Annihilate. That gives him a lot of play into the Jumpluff.
Yes.
This can make that Annihilate really quite solid here.
Does a lot of damage, especially if you can get away with, let's say you get into a scenario where you've got like a Jumpluff that's on like maybe 3/4 health. And it's like, oh, I'm not so sure how much that boosted Ice Punch is going to do. You bait the Rage Fist, you boost your attack, and then you've got an Ice Punch, which is going to absolutely annihilate that Jumpluff. Yeah, thank you. And so you can really, those baits and the boosts can really change the dynamics of these matchups.
Yeah, it's going to be a really tight match. I think what we're going to see here from Flames fan is that Azumarill and that Feraligatr core coming in we did see him work that Drapion so well in those matches against They Love Jai. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to overcome They Love Jai's Unova and Stunfisk. However, that Drapion is going to be really key in this matchup as well. It's good into most of the team. Like, it doesn't really have a hard answer because those Aqua Tails, those crunches, they're just so spammy.
That is correct. So we're going to need to see who is going to use their shields, where are they going to use their shields. It's an effective use of that, which has been time and time again today, where players have made their money, where they've won their games, where they've fallen a little bit short in some cases because of the timing and pacing of those moves.
And we've got to remember, this is the losers' final. This is the last opportunity. You lose this and you're out at the top 3 placement. You don't get through to that grand final. It is a best of 5. So there's a lot of mental pressure on these trainers. They have to calculate everything. They have to be clinical with what they're doing.
It's the name of the game. That's why they're here, and that's what they're going to do. So what I'm interested to see is anything Pokémon Moneymaker can do to draw out that Annihilate that lets that Dunsparce have a bit of freedom in the back. Because if it's free, it may be able to get up a little bit of energy, get some shields, get some advantage. It's going to essentially function like an Azumarill, right? Where it's going to not win you the match, but it's going to set you up for the win. But obviously, with Primate there, you really cannot just take those consistent karate chops. You cannot take one of those close combats.
One matchup that we haven't seen much of today is actually the interaction between the Annihilate and the Primate. The big brother versus the little brother. And CGY and Flames fan is the little brother of this matchup. He is the young kid on the block. But the thing is that Annihilate, because it is Ghost type, it's going to resist those karate chops, and it can just sort of boost itself once with Rage Fist and tap, tap, tap counter its way through the Primate, even though it's getting those moves quicker.
But on the flip side, if Primate is able to then get a little farm down and gets that energy a little bit faster, it can get to those moves quicker, and it will need 2 Rage Fists to KO. I mean, maybe if it's boosted 4 times, one might even KO. I've not seen that yet.
I think it likely would. But do you think there's any room for that Shadow Kanto Marowak?
I think there is. I think there's plenty of room for it. Outside of that Dragonite, the damage from those Shadow Mud Slaps adds up so much. You can 2 shield slap your way through for Alligator. No worries, just all done.
Well, I don't want to be on the receiving end of that Shadow Kanto Marowak if that's the case. But I really do like it here because it is quite neutral into things like the Annihilate, into the Clodsire, into the Dunsparce, and these are really neutral options for Pokémon Moneymaker. So hopefully we get to see some KWAC gaming. That would be a lot of fun, but it's going to be tough to run into that Shadow Dragonite.
Yeah, and also it is quite tough to run to, oddly enough, the Azumarill, right? Because it has access to the Ice Beam and the super effective bubble. So all of those things, it has the bulk to deal with that damage output. And that's where for Alligator comes up a little bit short. Has the pacing, but doesn't have the bulk. So that's where the other water type, the interaction just changes a little bit. Things cross over a little bit. But if Pokémon Moneymaker is going to rely on that double water team, then Jumpluff in the back can just sneak in there and cause a lot of trouble.
The thing about the Jumpluff, both those water types have ice type coverage. And we saw 89 Flames fans not afraid to no-shield his Jumpluff when a potential ice move is coming through. So Pokémon Moneymaker's going to have that in the back of his mind. Like, gee, do I bait here? Do I not? Like, this kid's crazy. What calls is he going to make?
Yes, and that is the fun part about this for us. Maybe not so much for Pokémon Moneymaker, who's going to have to make those decisions. But I really do think, Flames fan with that Shadow Drapion there just has such ability, such a high damage output with pacing. Add that to the for Alligator, add that to the bulk of the Azu. There's just so many interesting dynamics to it play. And I really think Flames fan has the most ability with the Azumarill to just have so much either strong or neutral play. There's no grass type over there for Pokémon Moneymaker to really output that damage. It does have the Sludge Bomb on Clodsire, but they're both so bulky. The Sludge Bomb, it hurts, but it's not the end of the world.
No, that matchup with the Azumarill and the Clodsire can be so close. It really comes down to IVs at some points. Like the 2 Ice Beams plus the bubble damage into the Clodsire, it gets it super low.
It does indeed. So it's going to be something that Pokemon Moneymaker needs to be aware of. And I think instead of, if there is an Azu say swap, we might even potentially see Pokemon Moneymaker look at going into that for Alligator to use as a one shield counter to the Azumarill, because then you can come out with a lot of extra energy, and we know how dominant that energy is. And you can save your Clodsire as shields with something else in another time.
Clodsire is a third and fourth shield in some matchups. That thing is so bulky, it has so much defense. Its ability to output damage really quite respectable for such bulky Pokemon, and it really is why we're seeing it on most teams here today.
Yeah, that is why Azumarill and Clodsire are both the highest usage Pokemon. Honestly, I was a little bit surprised they were only at 58%. I thought they would be higher. I thought we'd be seeing 70, 80, maybe even 90. Like at the moment, I'm not going to enter a show 6 without one of those. And let's be honest, let's say the Shadow for Alligator as well.
Shadow for Alligator should be on 100% of teams, in my opinion, but I could be slightly biased as it was my caster pick for today. But we are getting into game number 1 of this losers final. Pokemon Moneymaker versus CG89 CGY Flames fan. Clodsire into the jump bluff.
Oh, wow. This is so good for Clodsire. It is able to deal super effective damage with those poisonous things. And we see an instant swap out into the Drapion here. And this is a very intriguing pairing because the Aqua Tails are going to come out so fast.
Yeah, the Aqua Tails only takes 3 to KO the Clodsire, and it gets to them so quickly. Clodsire knows it can no-shield the first one, survives quite comfortably, stores the energy, switches into the Azumarill to start absorbing these moves.
Now, what Pokemon Moneymaker has done here is he's taken all of that resisted damage onto the Clodsire, and now he's taking the resisted charge move damage onto the Azumarill. So fantastic way of setting up for a win later in the game.
Yeah, that's a really smart decision there from Pokemon Moneymaker. We see the second crunch coming through onto the Azumarill. The first one didn't get the debuff on the defense. Does the second one get the debuff? No, it doesn't. A little bit of bad luck there for 89 Flames. But the Ice Beam coming through, this won't KO.
No, this will not KO. Are we going to see the shield? Is the holding? No, he does use the shield. So Pokemon Moneymaker has done exactly what they wanted and gotten a shield out of Calgary Flames fan nice and early.
Yeah, Flames fan now going for his third crunch. This isn't going to be quite enough to knock out the Azumarill at this point, so he might be able to poison this thing down, but that Azumarill's getting close to another move. It does get to the Ice Beam just on 1 HP.
Oh, this will come close and an instant no shield. Flames fan is not willing to go down 2 shields just yet in this matchup, but this might yet survive.
Oh, it survives with just a slither of health, and it has the Aqua Tail loaded. Where's it going to go?
Oh, and he is choosing to take it on the Clodsire. So using Clodsire's Bolt, and look, we have saving 2 shields for Alligator from Pokemon Moneymaker. I think I've seen this before.
This is a very smart play here from Pokemon Moneymaker. Gets the poison sting down, but we see that Kanto Marowak in back, but it's met by the Feraligatr. This is pretty neutral, but the shield deficit for the Marowak is a bad spot to be in.
And here comes the first Hydro Cannon. This will 100% go and forced to use a shield here for Calgary Flames fan. It is almost at the stage where we need to consider you have to catch on that jump off a Hydro Cannon.
The Hydro Cannon does need to be caught by a jump off, but you have to be careful you don't accidentally catch an Ice Beam at the same time. We have seen the Bone Club come through. It does get the first shield away from Pokemon Moneymaker. It's taking him this far through the game to start spinning shields. Goes for the attempted catch, doesn't pull it off. Here comes that Ice Beam.
Oh my gosh, this is going to do so much damage. Great nerve held from Pokemon Moneymaker. Flames fan was trying to do something to win the match. How Gear comes in. Oh!
Wow, it doesn't just KO. Gets this Aerial Ace in the last second. Feraligatr going to say goodbye. See you later, Gator. And we've got the Clodsire with heaps of energy left to finish off this game.
But there is also energy. Oh, whoa, and throwing a Sludge Bomb here. Going for the double Sludge. I'm not confident in the Earthquake that will do enough damage to take out this Shadow Marowak.
Sludge Bomb connects. Does do a reasonable amount of damage. The second one coming through now. Is this going to be enough to KO? I think it might just barely do it.
It should just do it all. 1 poison sting away. No, it looks like this will take it out. And game 1 goes to Pokemon Moneymaker.
Wow. Pokemon Moneymaker just barely hangs on to secure that game number 1.
Now, that's interesting because I personally did not know that 2 Sludge Bombs must do more damage than 1 Earthquake, even in a resisted scenario.
Yeah, that was super interesting recognition there from Pokemon Moneymaker. He really has showcased his knowledge of the game here. His knowledge of matchups as well. That's something he would have studied at home in preparation for this tournament.
And we did see that Shadow Kanto Marowak come out. It was doing a lot of damage, but it just didn't really get in the right spot. The Drapion had used up that shield, and that just really, having the 2 shields on Pokemon Maker's side, just really didn't get it where it wanted to be.
Yeah, it's really hard when you just can't quite align those Pokemon where you want them. Pokemon Maker just able to consistently maintain that advantage where he likes it, able to secure the alignment that he needed with that Clodsire into that jump off in the lead. Really well played. CGY Flames almost able to claw it back, but not quite.
No, almost went for that catch. Something, we at those end games, you got to play to your win cons, and sometimes they just don't quite come off. And there's not much you can do, right? You just got to sit back and go, look, I tried my best, well played. Let's move on to the net match. I've still got potentially another 3 or 4 matches to go, so I'm going to try my absolute best, and let's regroup, regather, come back at it, and see how can I win with my Shadow for Alligator.
And you know what? I don't think 89 Flames made any mistakes in that game. He just got outplayed by Pokemon Maker. He did everything right. It just comes down to sometimes your opponent plays better. Sometimes your opponent has better matchups than you do, and that's just part of the game. You can't let that get too much. You just have to sit back, take a moment, and go, all right, that's game 1 out of the way. What do I do for game number 2?
And what we do for game number 2 is we got to run that Shadow Dragonite. Come on, Pokemon Maker. We've been begging for it. Let's see what you want to do. But again, I really like that jump off for Flames fan. It just didn't quite end up in the right position.
No, the position of eating an ice beam from a Shadow for Alligator is not where you want to be if you're a Jumpluff. It is basically throwing a Pokemon straight down the drain before it gets to do anything. Amazingly, it's bulky enough to hang on to that move with just a little bit of health, and then it was able to get that Aerial Ace off to get rid of the Feraligatr, but it wasn't comfortable.
No, definitely not comfortable. It looks like there may be a little bit of a question happening on that matchup. There was an undercharge, which we're like, whoa, undercharge. So there is a little bit happening in the background, so that's fine. Again, this is really important when these little breaks happen for the trainers, that you don't just get frustrated, get angry. Everyone is entitled to review a match. Every battler that's a right. No one should be trying to take that away from them or do anything. So you just got to focus on yourself, focus on what you're doing, have a drink of water, whatever you need to do, regroup, focus, and just be ready for the next match. Because essentially, it's just another match. Whether it's a rematch or the same thing, the score is the only thing that changes. The battle, the 6 Pokemon, they're all the same. You just need to keep rolling through with those punches.
You have to roll with the punches. And thankfully, we haven't seen too much Dunsparce rolling with those punches just yet, because that is not a matchup that Dunsparce wants to be in.
No, Dunsparce does not want to be taking any fighting damage whatsoever. I mean, I don't see too much play in this matchup for Dunsparce. I think that Clodsire does everything that Dunsparce can do, but maybe a little bit better.
Yeah, I think you're right. This Clodsire does look a little bit safer into Flames fans' team. It has a little bit more capacity to put pressure on things like the Jumpluff. So I do like seeing the Clodsire here. I like that Flames fan brought the Drapion. I think it's got capacity. I think he just didn't quite. He had a lineup that was a little bit ABA weak to that Clodsire in the lead, and so he wasn't able to execute it how he wanted to. I think he still should be relying on it though, because it is so strong, so neutral in this matchup.
Yeah, I think in this case, it probably functions a little bit better in the lead than as the safe swap. Just in that dynamic that it has, especially in the 2 shield against Clodsire, where it can actually come out on top, which is absolutely crazy to think of.
It's bonkers.
But that's Pokemon Go. You don't necessarily have to have that ABC, RPS, however you want to call it, style. There are so many ways to play this game. You can pick different movesets. You can do what you want. And, that's what we've seen Pokemon Maker do here. He's run the Ice Punch on his Annihilate to give it a bit of better coverage, maybe against that Serperior, maybe against any other grass Pokemon. Maybe it's there for a dragon. We don't know. We'd have to ask him.
Maybe it's there just because he knew Jumpluff was coming.
Well, that's a massive meta read if you've done that. Well done. But yeah, I mean, it's done very well for him thus far.
To be fair, Jumpluff has been around. We did see it win LAIC. It is a Pokemon that has been strong in the meta, able to punish those ground type Pokemon that are mud slapping all around. So, Jumpluff, not a bad thing to consider. The rest of the team is hit and miss against that Jumpluff. So maybe that's why he brought the Ice Punch. Maybe it was for other dragons. I mean, dragons could be a little bit of a problem.
Could be. Hopefully we'll get to see if it is. Now I think we have word that it is likely to be a rematch there. So we are going back to game number 1 in this losers final, and
Yeah.
there has been a review, and it was deemed that there was effects on the match result, and so we're going back and running it back. And now key with these rematches are, just so everyone out there knows, you're allowed to pick an entirely new team of 3. You can run the same if you want, but nobody has to. There's nothing locking you in. It's restart, let's go.
Is that more of those mind games?
There's definitely a mind game, and I don't know how you deal with a rematch. I don't like them. They're
No.
never fun for either party, right?
No, I don't like being on the receiving or the giving end of a rematch. It is really tricky because you just, instead of like a game 1 to game 2 scenario, you're replaying the game that you just had. And it's just a little bit of a different mindset. Like if you won the original game and now all of a sudden you have to resit that game because something happened within the game that wasn't a normal function, then you can be a little bit like, oh, geez, I feel like I should have won that and it didn't go my way. Or alternatively, if you thought you should have won a game, but now you have to rematch it, it's tricky.
Yeah, and as we've seen earlier today, we're not in a rematch, but when players have played the same Pokemon into the as a previous game, and the previous game they landed a bait and it got shielded, sometimes the next time you're like, oh, they landed a bait, I'm not shielding, and boom, they land a nuke, and the dynamics just change totally. So even though you've had information from the previous battle, you can't necessarily rely on that information rolling through. I think at this level, the battlers are too good. They've got too much insight into how things are going. You just have to read it for what it is in front of you.
Yeah, that is so true. And these games, these trainers have been through the mental ringer today. They've both been battling all day long. And when it comes to things like this, it just creates that additional more mental energy, more mental stress. It starts opening the door for mistakes. And it's the trainers who are super consistent, that don't make mistakes, that do really well in these late tournament scenarios.
Yeah. So we're going to see who has the internal fortitude to go forward in this losers bracket here. This is taking quite some time, so please bear with us, ladies and gentlemen. I know you're here for the battles, we're here for the battles, but we're also here for the battlers, and they need to make sure that the right outcome is happening for them. So that is why there has been this delay here as we wait for everything to get sorted out and locked in. Now Carrier Claims fan, he did fairly well in Perth last year, but didn't quite make it this far. Wasn't quite running as clean. I think Mikey Morgs actually knocked him out instead of round 2 or round 3.
I might have been losers round 2 or 3, yeah, in a 2-0 fashion. Well, he has spin the biscuit this time, and he is now in the losers final in a top 3 situation for in his second tournament. Like that's a really great effort for someone so young who's realistically relatively new to the game, right? It's impressive to see.
I mean, this game it's not like this game came out last year. This game has been around for a number of years now. You would not have been legally allowed to play this game as a young gentleman. So it's come into it, and he's doing extraordinarily well, really pushing up the ladder ranks in the GBL circuit as well. So doing quite well, hitting legend quite early this season, I believe, in GBL also.
Well, hopefully he hasn't hit legend this season, because that would be an extremely talented way to start the season off. We're only a week in, but he is one of those trainers who's always pushing the top of the GBL leaderboards. He's someone who spends a lot of time studying matchups and just really refining his plays. And that's why we're seeing him here today in this losers final. But it looks like we are getting really close to locking into game number 1.
Game number 1 again, yeah. There have been a few little interesting nuances on the floor. I think with Pokemon Maker not having as much experience in the English language, being one of those Japanese trainers. But fortunately, there is somebody there able to assist with him, working on like a little bit of a translator level. So thank you very much to the battler over there. It's really great having community members out there supporting each other, helping us all to get through this. So, you know, those angst, those little times where things can be frustrating, we can calm down, we can take a breath, we can help each other, we can show support and care for our fellow battlers.
Yeah, it's a great community that we have here in the Oceanic region and the broader PvP community as well. All of the events that I've been to, whether it's local or across the globe, have always made me feel at home. But here we are getting into not game number 1 just yet.
No, not just yet. We saw it was close. One of those screens looked absolutely fantastic, and the other one just looked like they're out for another day, catching a few Pokemon, spinning a few stops, getting things ready. So we are working on that. It's just one of those things. Now there have been a few little special spawns here. I think
Yes.
I saw you showed me something quite nice just before.
I have just got my first shiny Vullaby. I was so
Oh.
ecstatic. While They Love Giant 89 Flames were battling it out, I was just chilling on my phone, catching shiny Pokemon. It was great for me. Very
That's
relaxed.
fantastic. And IVs, are we looking at trading this one?
This one might be sent to a new home.
Mm-hmm.
But nonetheless, I'm very happy to add shiny Wallaby to my collection.
Well, that's great. I caught a shiny Duskull.
Uh,
So yeah, I think you're one up on me there.
Yeah, Duskull being one of those Pokemon that has had a community day, the shiny has been a little bit more readily available,
Yeah.
unfortunately. But enough of that. We're actually into the battles now. We have Pokemon Maker versus CGY Flames fan. Jump off into the Azumarill.
This is a great spot for Flames fan. He wants to be getting that super effective grass moves into this Azumarill. All of the fast moves are not going to be doing that much with Fairy Wind being quite soft. And here comes that first Energy Ball. Now, Energy Ball has a chance to debuff.
Yeah, it does have a 10% chance to reduce the defense of the opposing Pokemon. We do not see it this time. The Azumarill farming up to that Ice Beam. It is going to come through. Will CGY Flames shield this?
This is one of those hard decisions, and choosing to let it go through, knowing how much damage it takes. But you are outpacing this Azumarill to everything here, and you have so much more ability to deal this damage. And Jumpluff, here we go. And no shield from Pokemon Maker. Knows it survives.
But do you see what I see in the back? It's that Shadow Dragonite. He's going to be saving all those shields for those Dragonite in back just to try and force his way through this game.
And it will force its way through, whether CGY Flames fan likes it or not, because it just has the ability to deal so much damage. And out comes that Feraligatr. That's 2 Shadow Claws ahead already. This is big damage.
This is dangerous. Feraligatr ahead on energy. Flames fan not mucking around. He's going straight for those Hydro Cannons. Pokemon Maker's like, this is resisted, but I can't have to shield it anyway.
Yeah, Pokemon Maker wants no bar of that Hydro Cannon damage. And look at how much damage these Dragon Breaths are doing. And look at the timing here. Just before it gets to the Hydro Cannon, throwing the Dragon Claw, gets the shield.
This trainer has used the Shadow Dragonite once or twice. I can tell he is capitalizing on the amount of damage he can do, the amount of energy he can make. He's going to shield it again. He's pushing his way through this Feraligatr. Feraligatr puts out so much damage, but it is not especially tanky. And then see the quick swap into the Drapion there to reduce the amount of farm it's going to get.
Yeah, here comes that Drapion, and there's the superpower. So this will threaten such high damage if there's no shield come from Flames. And he lets it go through.
Doesn't shield.
Massive! It's out of here!
The superpower connects, and it's going to be all over for CGY Flames. Pokemon Maker showcasing why he's brought that Shadow Dragonite today.
Oh, that was a heavy, fast game. That
Wow.
damage, you saw how much. Now, that is a neutral. That is not a super effective superpower. That's just neutral, non-stab. So
Wow.
Shadow Dragonite ain't no joke, and Pokemon Maker showed why.
Pokemon making those moves, am I right?
Oh,
But that Dragonite, just absolute clinical display of how to use that Shadow Dragonite, making sure you can farm as much energy as possible, optimizing those charge attack timing, perfect gameplay.
Now, there's a very important reason, if you're not as experienced in Pokemon Go PvP, that he threw the superpower was because it was the win con. So even if they shield the superpower, you swap out to your Clodsire, all you need to do is get to 1 Earthquake, and then that Drapion is gone, Ski. And then you've just got a couple of taps for Alligator out of the way. So Pokemon Maker playing to that win condition of, wow, if I throw a Dragon Claw and he no-shields this, I'm actually in trouble. The whole thing flips on its head. So I'm going to play the best way I know to win, and that was to throw that nuke move.
And you might be wondering, why didn't 89 Flames just shield the superpower? If it does that much damage, why doesn't he just shield it? Well, it's because he knew that if he shields that, then something like the Clodsire comes in and Drapion's got nowhere to go. So he needed to save that shield for what was ever in the back line. And at that point, it was all over.
It was all over indeed. Now, the interesting thing about this, the mind games continue. Calgary Flames fan didn't see that third Pokemon. we can see that it was a Clodsire, so we knew the win condition. He didn't, so that mind plays in the mind game. And now we have a Zoomerall Mirror. We have seen about, I don't know, 4 or 5 of these in this matchup, but it is actually going to be quite important because we have a very, very interesting match-up backline here, which is going to be really important to see how the outcome of this battle goes.
Yeah, it's going to come down to who gets their Pokemon where they want them. We see that charge attack priority, the play rough coming through. Azumarill says, mirror, mirror on the wall. I think I'm the fairest of them all.
Well, it's looking pretty good right about now. And here comes Flames fan to throw his play rough right back at it. Now, we have seen there are some IV spreads of Azumarill that can survive that third
Play rough.
play rough, yes.
The play rough is a decent move. It does have that same type of attack bonus from that fairy typing of the Azumarill. We see the second one coming through now from 89 Flames fan. It is connecting with the opponent's Azumarill. The second one coming through now. It's just taking its time.
Yep, you can take your time. You don't have to rush these battles. You play what is in front of you, and this is where it's key to come in. Are we going to see an attempted catch here, or are we going for CMP? Oh, no. Flames fan going for the extra bubble.
Flames fan, he must be trusting in the IVs, but we see Pokemon Maker is actually purposely undercharging here. Might be opening the door for a Shadow Claw farm down from that for Alligator.
That could very much be opening the door, but now we see Flames fan. Yep, is going to charge up all the bubbles here, take out the Azumarill, and here we go. Here is the Shadow Claw coming into this one, and this is going to be very nice energy to have on the Feraligatr. And wow, in comes the Shadow Marowak with 2 shields. These Mud Slaps are going to be doing so much damage.
Pokemon Maker has so much energy on this Feraligatr now. We do see the first shield coming up from 89 Flames fan, and as he goes for that Bone Club, this is going to do a lot of damage if it goes unshielded.
Bone Club, it is insane how much damage it now does. With the Mud Slaps from this Shadow Marowak, it is just absolutely scintillating. And we can see here, Pokemon Maker really trying to maximize the amount of energy it can get there. And the last shield comes out from Flames fan here.
Flames fan spent all of his shields. We do see that the Feraligatr actually fainted to that last Mud Slap there and didn't get off both of his Hydro Cannons. Now the Clodsire is stuck up in a matchup it doesn't want to be in.
No, Clodsire does not want to be here. It was hoping to see all of its time into that jump off. But at this point, it is going to have to use all of its health, all of its shields, just to get through this Shadow Marowak.
Yeah, you're right. The Marowak is going to be such a hard wall for this Clodsire to climb through. And we see it now coming. The Earthquake will take out this Marowak, but I don't think there's enough health left on the Clodsire to get rid of this Jumpluff.
No, it looks like Jumpluff just needs to get to 1 energy ball, and I don't believe the Sludge Wave is going to do anywhere near enough damage to take out that Jumpluff. Here's the energy ball. Here's the KO coming in. This Clodsire is going down. We are moving to a 1-1 in this game number 2.
89 Flames fan does secure game number 2. I do believe, however, that there is going to be a review for that Shadow Feraligatr going down in the mid-game there. I do believe that Pokemon Maker thought he needed to get both of those Hydro Cannons off, so we're just going to wait for the outcome of a review for that match.
Yep. We've been here before. We'll be here again. It is unfortunate, but there was, according to Pokemon Maker, a discrepancy where the game didn't function how they were hoping it would or they believe it should have. And again, everyone is welcome to those reviews.
That's right. The reviews are an important process, right? Because we want to make sure that players have every opportunity to play the game how it should work. So this is a good opportunity for Pokemon Maker to interject with what he thought was the outcome should have been. We're going to leave it up to the judges to make that decision. They have all the knowledge. They have the video of the gameplay, so they will be able to tell us whether that was a warranted a rematch or whether 89 Flames fan has tied it up to that 1-1 situation.
Yeah, we will not speculate on our own opinions on this matter because we can't see those videos. We can see it live, but we can't see some of the dynamics of what the players are actually doing at the time. So those judges have that extra information, which we over here on the casting desk do not. Now, we definitely saw how dominant in that rematch of game number 1 that the Shadow Dragonite was, and then Pokemon Maker on the bench again.
Yeah.
Now, are we going to see, is this a rematch Pokemon? Is Shadow Dragonite Pokemon Maker's rematch Pokemon where he's like, okay, I'm not happy. I'm bringing it in. This is
Yeah.
what it's there for. And I mean, you just saw how much, one, that Super Bow did, how oppressive the Dragon Breath damage is to that Shadow for Alligator.
I think the response came from 89 Flames, right? He brought that Azumarill in lead. He's like, I see what you're doing. I'm not letting you do that again. So he is obviously taking that Dragonite into consideration. Like, it has to be done because it was so effective in that game number 1. So again, the mind games, the bench pressure, as we like to call it, of that Shadow Dragonite, forcing Flames fans to make team building compositions, decisions that he may not want to make based on what Pokemon Maker's doing.
And what we have seen as well in these battles so far is the extra bulk on the non-shadow jump off. So the regular jump off for Flames fan has actually been quite useful. He's not running a Clodsire, he's not running a Mandibuzz. Does have the Azumarill there for bulk, but the other Pokemon are relatively on the squishier side, less health, less defense. So jump off, even though it's double super effective or 4 times damage it takes from a ice attack, everything neutral isn't hitting it quite as much as you might expect.
Yeah, the trade-off there is that you're not outputting quite as much damage as you would if you had that shadow bonus, that 20% more attack. So sometimes the jump off gets stuck in these neutral matchups where you just can't quite get the job done because those attacks don't do quite enough damage. But you put it in the right spot, you align it to the Feraligatr, you align it to the Azumarill. When you have energy or shield advantage, those energy balls are going to do a lot of damage.
Yeah, it's one of those war of attritions. Do you want to get the game over quickly? You're trying to delay that clock so you can get something like a little bit of extra energy on your Shadow for Alligator, get it back in there, get it doing damage, because like we saw, there's no super effective grass moves on Pokemon Maker's side to hit that for Alligator. There's no electric moves out there to hit it, but you know what is out there to hit it? It's got plenty of Dragon Breaths, right? So as long as that Shadow Dragonite has health, it is definitely one that can put a massive dent into the HP of any Feraligatr out there, shadow or non-shadow.
Yeah, it's oppressive. It is really, that's the word for it. It's oppressive. Like, it just puts so much damage out onto all these Pokemon. And like I've said earlier today, even the Azumarill, you're resisting the bubbles and you're chunking away very slowly. If you land a superpower, it still does a good chunk.
Yeah, superpower and dip. It definitely adds up. It'll put the Azu almost it'll be below 66%. I think it'll take you over a third of its damage when you include the Dragon Breath. And when you think about it, you're like, oh, that's not much. That's the same as a Play Rough from an Azuma. It's a non-resisted move. So, all of that sort of thing can add up. And the whole thing is to add up that you have more HP left at the end of the game than your opponents.
The person with the most amount of HP at the end of the game is the one who wins, right?
That's what I've heard.
Yeah, I would love to see some more Shadow Dragonite gameplay here today, but I'm also enjoying seeing the Shadow Kanto Marowak come out in these losers finals as well. CGY Flames showing he's not afraid of that Dragonite. I'm still going to bring this KWAC because it has Rock Slide. It has access to super effective damage against that Shadow Dragonite.
And I would think that Rock Slide would come pretty close, if not KO, just one of them right off the bat. So you cannot let that Kanto Marowak, say, like, farm down a Clodsire or even farm down a Shadow for Alligator and have that energy there, because then it can throw one move, then it can dip, or it can stay in and try and get to their second move, really putting pressure on anything else in this meta, especially that Shadow Dragonite.
I do think we have confirmation that there was no rematch granted for game number 2. So it is back to a 1-1 situation, we believe, in this losers final. So it's all to play for. We're essentially back to a best of 3 situation at this point.
Yep, we are, but it is a best of 5. So
sure
even though we've been here for a while, it is taking a little bit of time. It's important that every battler, no matter if they're in the first match or the last match, that they get a fair assessment of the game. And so it looks like things are going to continue once that's been communicated to the players. Let's see what we're going to get. Are we going to see how many, let's make a game of this. How many Azumarill mirror matches are we going to get for the rest of this tournament? Because I feel like there's at least 1 or 2 left in it.
Remind me, is They Love Jai running Azumarill?
Ooh, I don't have the team sheet for that in front of us. One of our fellow friends could actually let us know, or let us know in the chat.
There's
No,
no Azumarill on Lane of Jai, so I'm expecting 3 more Azumarill mirror matches.
No, please, no. It's slightly better than the Umbreon mirror match, but not that much. So let's see what we can do to reduce that. I would much prefer to see a Feraligatr mirror if we had to see any mirrors.
Oh, Feraligatr mirror is a tricky matchup to play because those Hydro Cannons do so much damage. One on its own still does about 40% to the Feraligatr, and then you add some Shadow Claws in there, and all of a sudden you cannot take 2 of them.
Those Shadow Claws just add up so fast unless you're resisting that damage. And then if you are resisting that damage, you're still going to be taking a super effective or non-resisted Hydro Cannon. So it's so tricky. There's so few Pokemon, but there is one Pokemon that actually resists everything that Feraligatr can throw, and that is Greninja. But it doesn't have the bulk. It doesn't have the bulk to eat any of that. It's still just in the same spot.
I was just thinking Greninja is one of the few Pokemon that can do this, but Greninja being such a low defense and HP weighted Pokemon doesn't want to take a Hydro Cannon regardless of whether it resists it or not. And that's the power of Feraligatr. It just outputs so much consistent damage against everything that it comes up against.
Yeah, now we've seen Tonton Batus run that Greninja. I haven't seen anyone run the Crawdon because that also does resist everything. It is definitely not one we're likely to see anytime soon.
And Australian Regionals are no stranger to Shadow Sharpedo.
Oh, the Shadow Sharpedo. I know somebody out there's spines tingling just thinking about it
Jakobovic,
now.
if you're in chat, this one's to you, my friend. Shadow Sharpedo is a scary Pokemon to see. It does so much damage. Doesn't want to take any moves, though.
No, it does not. And it is something that you do see pop up every now and then, and you have to pause and think, is this real? And then you're like, oh, I'm playing. I need to switch out. I can't just get Waterfalled or Bite taking out your Pokemon.
And it has Psychic Thing too, right? So it can debuff your defense as well.
Disgusting.
Scary Pokemon.
But it does also blow over in a gentle breeze. So do you need to consider that? Yeah, but what we are seeing is now since the damage reduction to Charm in the latest update, we are seeing a lot of Pokemon like those. There's the Dark types, there's the Fighters who are having a little bit more free reign because there's not those massive hitting fast moves. This competition is sort of more being about the charge move damage.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of these players using charge attack pressure over that fast attack pressure. We have actually seen in this set of battles that we've got the Dragonite, we've got the Kanto Marowak that do that fast attack pressure, but everything else is only low damage. As we move into game number 3, it's Feraligatr into the Clodsire. This is great for 89 Flames fan.
It is great, but Clodsire can actually eat one of these Shadow Hydro Cannons, and the Feraligatr does not have the ability to eat an Earthquake and still staying around. So let's see how these trainers, are they going to throw him? Oh, and we have a catch straight away from Moneymaker. Ching, ching, ching.
Moneymaker is catching that Hydro Cannon on his Azumarill. It doesn't do a lot of damage, but this gives an opportunity for Flamespan to start overloading on that energy, generating heaps and heaps of energy for those Hydro Cannons later in the piece. Tries to go for an opposing catch, doesn't quite pull it off.
Doesn't quite pull it off, but I think Pokemon Maker's like, oh, excellent. I know what to do in an Azumarill mirror match. I'm just going to throw Play Roughs, and we'll go back to this old chestnut of Play Rough versus Play Rough, but the HP differential is the biggest difference here. And Flamespan recognizing that he's built up energy on that Feraligatr and then left with a little bit of energy.
If we're tallying these up, this is one Azumarill mirror match. We've got 2 more left for this losers final series as we see the Hydro Cannon connecting onto Pokemon Maker's Azumarill. Oh, he tries to catch the next move, but he's going to get to the Sludge Bomb on the Clodsire first.
He's going to go to the Sludge Bomb, and Flames lets this one go through. This will do a nice chunk of damage here, taking the Azumarill into the red and firing back with an Ice Beam. The non-stab Ice Beam going to be a lot less effective. And it is going to be super effective. And now we are potentially, oh my goodness, and look how much energy this Feraligatr has. It's come back in and said, I'm stamping my name into this matchup.
Feraligatr is going to take out the Clodsire, but it's the Shadow Dragonite in the back that's scaring me off. That Dragonite is going to come through now and put on another display of its oppressive Dragon Breath damage like it did in the other games.
Oh, but here, in choosing instead, he's going to get a shield by throwing the Play Rough into this Azumarill. Now, are we going to see a swap, or is it going to stay in? No, I think it just wants to soak up a little bit of this energy. Oh, and Chip, a little bit of Chippy Chip.
This Ice Beam is now coming through, commands the final shield from CGY Flamespan, but he has so much energy The Dragonite has 2 shield advantage. It's coming in now, but it's going to have to start shooting his Hydro Cannons.
This Dragonite is going to have to do an absolute ton of work here. It's got 3 Pokemon it's going to need to get through. Here comes the second Hydro Cannon. Is it going to be a shield or are you going to save one in the back? What do you do as Pokemon Maker? Using the shield.
Pokemon Maker is now down out of his last shield. In comes the Drapion. We've seen how much damage the Superpower does in this matchup. The Crunch coming through on charge attack priority. It goes to the Dragonite. I think this is going to KO again.
This is going to KO. We've seen how much damage it did in the last matchup, but it is going to be a race. Is there any time to catch? Is there any time to swap? Azumarill still has quite a bit of health, the Calgary Flames fan.
And the attack and defense is now debuffed from the Dragonite. It might have to switch out to clear it, but the switch clock isn't up just yet. Oh, here comes the Hydro Cannon, just surviving on 1 HP.
1 HP and a dream for Calgary Flames fan. It is going to do, and is it even enough? Yes, the resist is able to take out the Dragonite and a bubble.
Oh.
Now we are off to a race. What is going to happen? Is it going to be a bubble down for Flames fan, or will they be able to get to a play rough?
Going for the Ice Beam now. You recognise he could make the play rough, but I think the Ice Beam is going to be enough to KO. I think Pokemon Maker has punched his win in game number 3.
No, it survives!
Whoa.
Bubble down, the bubble sneaking through. Calgary Flames fan has brought this one back and is going to go up 2-1 in this losers final. Such a close matchup there.
We talk about 1 HP and a dream, but both of those trainers had big dreams for that battle with no HP remaining. It was super tight.
Super tight there. And now Pokemon Maker recognizing the next bubble was going to carry me. I have to throw this Ice Beam and pray. That was the only chance for a win con, even though sometimes as a trainer, you know, then you're going to survive this. Maybe they don't. Maybe in the back of your head, you've miscalculated something. So you're going to throw it because that's your only chance for winning.
It was so tight that Pokemon Maker recognizing this is his only win condition, but it wasn't quite enough to secure that game number 3. We are now at a match point for CGY Flames fan to bring it to an all-Perth grand final.
Oh, it is the penultimate battle here, potentially. It may be the ultimate battle of this matchup. 2-1. Now, we've seen that Shadow Dragonite come in, and we saw that our Flames fan did a really nice thing here. Knew that he needed to land the superpower, and that would debuff it and give the chance for the Feraligatr then to come back in and get to a move. And that was the only reason he was able to flip that matchup. Really expert play and understanding how those buffs and debuff moves actually work with those Pokemon. And it was just a beautiful thing to watch from the young trainer.
It was necessary for that attack drop to come in so that the Feraligatr could get to that Hydro Cannon and knock out the Dragonite. It was only on this fraction of HP that it managed to get to that Hydro Cannon as it was. That was unbelievable amount of energy management and recognition of HP management, really.
Yeah, and because those Dragon Breaths can come through so fast, calculating those things is really a difficult thing to do on those one-turn fast moves. And I think the main recognition was this needs to happen for me to win, so I'm going to try and execute that. If I just stay in here and get it gets farmed down, there's no chance for me in the back. I just can't do anything. So really well done by CGY Flames fan.
Yeah, CGY Flames fan showing why he's made it all the way to the losers final. Have only lost 1 set of battles to current grand final participant They Love Jai. He's here to win it, and he's proving that.
He is, and They Love Jai is in attendance in the final, just hanging out and waiting, probably watching these games as closely as is legally allowed. And we have a Dunsparce lead from Pokemon Maker.
Dunsparce into the Azumarill. Finally, a nice neutral matchup. And really, this could go either way, depending on whether the trainers want to spend their shields. Azumarill having access to that stab play rough does give it a slight advantage.
It does, and I think this is excellent for Pokemon Maker because the Shadow Dragonite is now avoiding this Azumarill, and that is going to be an absolute critical thing for this match to be a victory. But the spamminess of those other 2 Pokemon in the back could be spelling a little bit of trouble for Moneymaker.
And if you're CGY Flames fan, you have to make a decision here. Both of your backline Pokemon don't really want to see the Dunsparce, but your Azumarill really needs to see that Dragonite, or it's going to be a tough match. So CGY Flames fan probably has this in the back of his head, like, gee, when is a good time for me to switch out? Do I save some energy on my Azumarill? Going to no shield, the second drill run now. This is putting the Azumarill into that below 50% HP in the yellow zone.
Yep, and this play rough will be able to enter no shield coming through. So this is going to do a ton of damage. Does the Dunsparce survive? It's on 1 HP in a dream. It survives.
Gets to the move.
Here comes the drill run. Now, drill run will not be enough to KO the Azumarill, but it puts it in a much nicer matchup where any of the other Pokemon aren't going to take a huge amount of damage.
We see Flames fan frantically tapping on that Drapion. He knows what's coming. Here comes the Azumarill. We dodge the mirror match finally. Drapion overloading on energy here. It's going to be able to get to that crunch just before the play rough comes through.
Yep, throwing this crunch, trying to get that defense debuff onto the Azumarill, which is a really key in this matchup. But I think now Pokemon Maker is sitting there going, I'm fairly happy that if I can get one shield or just get that HP low enough, my Shadow Dragonite is going to absolutely run through whatever else in the back. I'm not even worried about what's there. And look how much damage that Ice Beam did.
Ice Beam does a lot of damage to the Shadow Drapion. Drapion now going for that second crunch. It's overloading energy. CGY Flames not spending any shields just yet. Recognizes that he needs to keep his Pokemon protected from all these charge moves that might be coming through.
And letting the Ice Beam come through. This is going to take out that Drapion. And Feraligatr comes in. And here comes the Dragonite. It's a late swap. There's going to be two shields happening. This is going to be a fast move versus charge move race between these two. Here comes the first shield, Fishy Legs.
I think Dragonite usually wins this race, so hopefully it doesn't go for the tortoise in the hair and take a nap halfway through. Otherwise, I think Dragonite has got this in the bag. It's going to come down to it. The second Hydro Cannon coming through, but not before the Dragon Claw.
Dragon Claw coming through, not just going for the fast move damage. A little bit worried about that health for the Azumarill in the back. Might be a little bit of a problem for the Dragon Breath to get through. Here comes the Hydro Cannon and an instant shield. There's no question about it from Pokemon Maker. Is just going to shield this up. And there's the swap. And who is going to take this one out? There's a lot of health on the Azumarill.
The Azumarill does have health and it does have a shield. And it does get to that Ice Beam. But he's going to have to spend the shield. And is this move going to KO through the shield?
Oh, the 1 HP damage. Is there more than 1 HP? There is. Oh, and a catch! Catching on the Azumarill. Pokemon Maker has pulled the slot machine. Cash is going everywhere. Undercharging the Ice Beam. And now it is just a Feraligatr. Is Feraligatr going to get Bubble down? Or is it getting Shadow Claw down and get to a move?
Oh, the Feraligatr barely unable to take out the Azumarill and finish off that game. Pokemon Maker has tied the series up 2-2.
Now, we are definitely going into a decisive game 5 here. 2-2 with these trainers. Absolutely fantastic. They were playing to every win condition possible. Even in those split seconds, these trainers are thinking so fast. Win this, win that. If Calgary Flamesman was able to Shadow Claw down that Azumarill, there's a chance that they could get that Hydro Cannon off and take out the Dragonite in the back. They were so close, but just not enough HP.
It was down to the wire. These games have been high octane here. We're seeing so much action-packed battles here. These trainers somehow are making bulky mirror matches look exciting.
They have been exciting, the matches. I've thoroughly enjoyed them. Even the Azumarill, so while it's a dull match watching it, when you can look at those back lines and when you can see what's in the back, you know how important switch advantage is. You may know how important shields are. And in that matchup, those shields for that Dragonite were so critical that when Calgary Flames fan didn't shield the Ice Beams from the Azumarill, it really felt like it was setting up Pokemon Maker for the win. I thought it was all over. And Flames fan just wringing out a cloth, getting every drop out of it. Absolutely phenomenal effort. Was so close to being able to take out that game number 4.
Yeah, CGY Flames squeezing every last drop out of his Pokemon, but still unable to overcome that Shadow Dragonite. I do believe there might be a review happening in the background. We'll wait to keep you updated on the results from that review. But for the meantime, we are expecting it to go to a game at number 5.
That is the expectation until we hear otherwise from the judges and the team on the floor. Doing a great job. Obviously, these things are so tight. And they was literally maybe 1 or 2 turns made the whole difference in that game. So you understand why these trainers may want to review those matches. As much as it doesn't allow the flow of the tournament to be exactly what we and you, the viewers, may like, we've harped on it 100 times. Very important for that to be available.
Yeah, these trainers are grasping at everything that they can get here. all those turns make a difference. It's half a second, Dr. Trotter. That is no time at all. That can flip the difference between these matches. If that Feraligatr got a farm down, for example, then it gets to that next move and that flips the game.
Completely flips the game. It's one of those things where it's happening so fast, especially when there's like a one turn from the Dragonite. If it's then you got to work out, is it a visual? Was there energy there? Was the damage there? Was it just visual? Where was this discrepancy that these battlers saw, and they get to discuss and make that decision? But what we've seen is Shadow Dragonite is no joke, and it is landing. As long as it's not on that Azumarill, it is a real problem for 89 CGY Flames fan.
Yeah, that Dragonite is causing so many headaches for CGY Flames fan, and I think it's the games that Pokemon Maker doesn't bring them that he loses.
That seems to be how it's gone so far. Well, he's won 2 with it, pending this review, obviously, and it has been interesting that CGY Flames fan has left the Jumpluff on the bench a little bit here, recognizing that even though it is super effective damage into the water types, the ice damage that's able to then come back in its way is really tough. So definitely doesn't want to leave it without shields. But when you've got Pokemon like Feraligatr and Drapion that do so well with shields, you kind of don't want to. It sounds terrible to say, but you don't want to waste it on a Jumpluff when you've got something that can do so much damage and is so effective into that thing. So it looked like we have a conclusion here.
We have an update. There will be no rematch granted for the result of that game. So it is 2-2. This will be a decisive game number 5. Are we going to see that Shadow Dragonite carry Pokemon Maker into the grand finals and put his Japanese mark on the Australian Regional, or will CGY Flames fan bring it home for Perth?
Yeah, it's the age old, I don't want to say David versus Goliath, but the old hand versus the young hand. Is there going to be a passing of the guard? As always, I think with the Australian, we love the story of the underdog.
We do.
We like the little guy to get up, and we are a little bit partial to our own people, if we're being completely honest.
Oh, yes.
So,
very biased. But we love it anyway. And we speak about the little guy. CGY Flames is the little guy in this situation. He's got the Primate into his big brother, the Annihilate. That's something we haven't seen yet as well.
No, but yeah, because both of these trainers have recognized there's no need for it. There isn't a need for this counter damage. There's so much that resists it. The flying type of Jumpluff, the poison typing of Clodsire, the fairy typing that both of them have Azumarill. Seems like they'd just rather have Azumarill mirror matches has been the flavor.
But one thing I'm happy about is we're guaranteed at least one Shadow Feraligatr in the grand finals, and we're guaranteed to have 2 Feraligatrs in total. It's going to be a great grand finals matchup, regardless of who comes into the play.
This is your Feraligatr channel. All Feraligatrs, all the time.
And you'd think, Feraligatr, it's not an Australian animal. Crocodiles, maybe we need a buff to crocodile so we can get a little bit more Australian flavour in the middle.
Oh yeah, let's just like double the incinerate damage and see what happens. But I think when that happens, you'll probably just see Shadow type Lotions coming in and just be like, hey, thanks guys, I'll take that and run with it. But let's see where these trainers can pull out something for. We did see Pokemon Maker shift to the Dunsparce there. That being said, so we've had a Dunsparce come out knowing that Primeape is probably not there. So if you're really making that call that Primeape's not getting in this matchup, all of a sudden Dunsparce becomes an absolutely delightful safe swap.
Yeah, if there's no Kanto Marowak, if there's no Primeape, then Dunsparce can be really useful at absorbing attacks from your opponent. It can be really useful at forcing shield pressure on things like the Feraligatr and like the Drapion. But it just has to really watch out for those fighters because it doesn't want to be in those matchups at all.
Yeah, and this is one of those things we've had 5 matches already. These trainers understand what each other are bringing, how they're playing it. I think Flames fan is going to go, okay, there's gonna be a Dragonite, whether it's in the lead or in the back. How do I balance myself that I can take that out and still win against the other 2 Pokemon that Pokemon Maker has in their team?
Yeah, Dragonite demands resources from your opponent. You have to spend shields, you have to spend energy to get rid of it, or it will take its way through the game. So that's a really interesting point there, Dr. Trotter. You have to make sure that you're getting rid of the Dragonite, but not spending all your resources so that the back line just completely runs away with it.
Yeah, because you can set yourself up for a win by doing that, but you can just as equally set yourself up for a loss. If you're going to burn both your shields early on that Shadow Dragonite and throw it in the lead, and then all of a sudden there's no shields for anything else, Azumarill then
Or
looks a
for
lot
Alligator.
better. Azumarill for Alligator, all of a sudden they're just the pacing, the damage, the energy just stacks up against you. That Shadow Drapion, shields, it's going to run through everything. So it's going to have to be balanced. And that's what Pokemon Maker's done so far. He has balanced the start of the matchup so he can heavily shield towards the end of the matchup. It's going to be an unusual scenario how they're going to, like we've talked about, the early, mid, late game. So far, Pokemon Maker's won when it's shifted everything towards the end game, and Flames Fan has won when he's been shifting it to the early game and the mid game. So it's been and all of the wins have been close. Nothing's been like just a absolute romp in the park for either of these battlers. They're
No.
going to be feeling the fatigue.
These battlers have been at it for hours now, and they are just close to the end of their tether here at this Perth Regional Championships. It is so close between these two battlers. They're both really at the top of their game, putting everything on the line, showing super high skill expression, catching moves, building energy, recognizing win cons. Like, it is all to play for.
Yes, we have ticked over 9 hours. So these battlers have been at it for 9 hours. That is a significant day. I don't know. I'm sure if you plenty of out there have done 10, 12-hour working days, and you are tired by the end of them. And that's something you do day in, day out, and you're good at. This is something that everyone does for enjoyment and fun, and it is fatiguing, and it is tough. So it is going to be a little bit of a wait there. Sounds like there has been a question again, another review in that last matchup.
And it's been answered with a no rematch.
No rematch answered. So this is fantastic for Pokemon Maker. Tougher for Flames Fan. Wanted to keep that buffer. So there is a little delay. So we will probably have a couple of minutes before these battlers are looking at locking in their teams. I'm sure you are loving looking at Fishy Legs' face over here. Thank goodness he's been here to support me. I very much appreciate you, brother.
It takes two to tango, my friend. But it's been a great day of battles that we've been able to witness today. It's been an absolutely stellar showcase of these Australian and, international visitors as well.
Yeah, we've had New Zealand, Japan, Chile. There are a few battlers who are currently residents in Australia for their studies, but they're from Singapore or Malaysia. I'm not sure exactly where. We've got Jins, who's spent a reasonable amount of time over in America, who's here in attendance. There's battlers from all over the region, and it's just fantastic to see them come and I really enjoy these tournament that has been hosted today.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun, and all these trainers here today are having a ball with it. Win or loss, everyone is here enjoying this community environment, this atmosphere of competitive Pokemon Go. We see players congratulating each other on hard wins or tough losses. It's just it's great to be a part of.
I have seen a few hugs for battlers who have gone out not quite when they were hoping or being expected to. So we are making sure we're caring for all of our brothers and sisters, whether they're doing well, whether they're doing not as well as they would have liked. It is important as a community to band around each other, and that's how the scene's grown. So I think Perth has done a really great scene. I think they are the largest local for the cups and challenges out of all of the Australian regions. They have the most regular numbers of battlers to their challenges and cup tournaments.
That's really impressive for such a remote community. Perth is the most remote capital city in the world. And that's an impressive stat to say that they've got the highest attendance rates at these local events. It's clearly a really strong community here at the Perth Regional, and it's been really put on display today.
Yeah, and so I want to congratulate those community ambassadors and those who are involved in the local Perth scene, the stores who have supported them. They have multiple stores in the city that run these cups and challenges. It's not just the one a month at the one venue. There are multiple that are doing it. So these places are doing great, and I think that's a testament to what they're doing here. And it must be such a thriving scene, not just for Go, but also for VG and TCG as well.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I haven't had a chance to communicate with those TCG or VGC players yet today, but it seems like it's such a great environment in the venue today, and everyone's having a lot of fun. So I can only imagine it would be the same for them. I do believe we are getting our Game 5 underway very shortly. So I can't wait to see who takes home this losers final and makes their way into the grand final today.
Now, and this is the first regional tournament where they've actually had the prize wall up. So all of the side events that are on offer mostly will be on tomorrow. But there were heaps of side events that all the battlers in all of the 3 disciplines of games will be able to earn those points to get those rewards. And there's some pretty cool things on that wall.
Yeah, I saw some pretty cool little plushies. I saw a Munchlax there that I'd love to take home, but unfortunately I haven't been able to earn myself any of those points for those prizes just yet, but maybe tomorrow.
There's always tomorrow. There's a chance for tomorrow if we aren't accidentally oversleeping, because this is going late into the night. We are clocking over here, doing a bit of overtime. The OT, I'll get my guys onto it, and hopefully those checks will clear.
That's right. But we are happy to be here because it is such a great event. We're having a lot of fun watching these battles today. I feel like we could talk about how much fun we're having for hours at this point.
We could, but what's most important is to see what the battlers are having fun with. So I'm really looking forward to, at the end of this tournament, I think we'll be getting the winner of the tournament to come in for an interview and explain to us how they have felt the tournament has been running and how they have been going. So don't just, once the battle's over, don't just clock off and say that's it. We're going to hear from the winner at the end of the tournament, the overall winner, and see how it goes. But we need to get there first. And to get there, we need to see which one of these 2 amazing trainers is going to get into the final.
Yeah, I can't wait to see the result from this battle. I mean, all these batches have been so close. The ones that have gone through for review as well have all been super, super tight. So this series of games has been incredible to watch. Super high octane, super fast-paced matches. We're not seeing any of those slow, drawn-out battles like we normally might see. It's being all to play for with super fast and aggressive plays.
Well, that's what you get, Fishlings, when you run Shadow for Alligator every single game. It speeds things up. It gets the job done. And it has been one of the benefits of seeing it in every single matchup. It is dynamic. It is quick. It's high-paced. And there's very little out there that is able to just soak everything up. It's such an effective Pokemon. What's going to change? Do you think? What would you change with Shadow for Alligator? Do you want to change it? I know you love it, but if you wanted to switch things up, what are you going to do? Are you going to get rid of Hydro Cannon? Are you going to change Ice Beam? Are you going to change Shadow Claw? What do you think is going to be the thing that needs to happen to change the game to keep it away from Shadow for Alligator? Because if nothing changes, it keeps coming.
I think Shadow for Alligator should be Shadow Claw should be buffed by 2 stages, both in attack and in energy. But that doesn't matter now because we're getting into game number 5 of this losers final. We have the Shadow for Alligator into the Azumarill. This can go either way.
It can, and we do not see that Shadow Dragonite in the back. So the Azumarill in the back for Flamespan is there for a specific reason, and it's not there. So let's see how Pokemon Maker gets through this one. We're the Hydro Cannons. We're just building up energy.
Hydro Cannon now being fired off by the Shadow for Alligator. He has got 2 stored already. It's going to connect with Azumarill. Azumarill doesn't need to shield just yet. Building up extra energy, trying to go for the swap, but is met by the Clodsire. This is tough.
This is a tricky spot because both Pokemon left with energy. So this match is not RPS. We are not over. This is dynamic. Here comes this Ice Beam. This is going to do a nice amount of super effective damage.
Yeah, with the energy advantage here from the Azumarill, it can put a lot of pressure onto this Clodsire. Azumarill, being that bulky little bunny, can take a Sludge Bomb, no problems.
Can take one. Can it take 2, though? Because we're going to find out this Clodsire will be throwing this first move. Does not get shielded by CGY Flamespan. But the second one is so close here. 1, 2, and there it is. Oh, and no, over-farming here from Pokemon Maker. You'd think there'd be a shield because of that.
Pokemon Maker going for that additional energy, recognizing that he wants to keep those 2 shields for his own Pokemon, elects to let the Clodsire go down and come in with a Shadow for Alligator, and now here we go. It's Gator time.
We are off to the races with the Gator, able to get to this Hydro Cannon before Azumarill was able to get to a move, and CGY Flamespan is quite happy to let this go, thinking it's got this in the bag. I've got Jump Off. There's 2 water types. I'm going to bring in my Feraligatr with all this extra energy. I'm in a good spot. Oh, and Flamespan wins CAP.
Yeah, so Flamespan getting that charge attack priority in his favor, getting that first Hydro Cannon through. It does so much damage to that resisted Feraligatr. You wouldn't know about it.
Oh, you wouldn't think it was resisted. Look how much it's doing. And here we go. We've got a shield coming up from Pokemon Mania. Oh, and a switch into Andrew and a counter.
Oh.
It has caught a play rough onto the jump bluff. This is nowhere near going to do the damage that an Ice Beam would do.
The play rough just barely tickles that cotton bowl as it builds up some energy heading towards that energy bowl. But the Ice Beam coming through now, this is probably a range where it's going to carry the jump off. But CGY Flame says it's time to put it all on the Feraligatr. It's been tried and tested, but it hangs on with this bit of health. Energy Bowl now going to come through from Flames fan.
Yep, Energy Ball coming through. This is going to be enough. Oh, and we have a shield here from Pokemon Maker. Using the shield happily to keep this Pokemon alive. And here comes the Ice Beam. And yes, on such low HP, there's very little value in using a shield here. So we're going to let this one come through and going to put it all on the Feraligatr for this last game. And look how much energy it has.
The Feraligatr now going for the Hydro Cannon, but I don't think this is a range where the Azumarill will be knocked out. So it's going to be able to, by shields from Pokemon Maker, no shields left in play. This is going to come down to the wire. The next Hydro Cannon coming through, no catch.
No catch available. Here comes the Hydro Cannon. This is going to do a lot of damage to the Azumarill. Will it be enough to KO it? Yes, it is. Oh. And then it is one shield left. And that Feraligatr is so low. It has a shield. It's just going to get a Shadow Claw down. And Calgary Flames fan has taken this losers final out. 3-2 going on to the finals now.
CGY Flames fan has brought it home for a Perth Regional Grand Final. It is going to be They Love Jai versus 89 CGY Flames fan.
Yes, it is. But, Vishy, you know what has happened here.
Don't tell me.
Unfortunately, there is going to be a review from Pokemon Maker. So we are going to have a little bit of a delay here while we wait for deciding if this review is going to enter into a rematch or not. There's nothing we can do. We just need to wait this one out.
We didn't see... Well, actually, we saw the Azumarill mirror match again. Does that bring us up to 3?
I think they've I mean, it's not like a lead match. It wasn't a lead mirror match or 100% HP. But yes, there have been plenty of Azus into Azus so far today. It's been a long haul.
Both of these trainers have actually realistically bought quite similar teams to these battles. You've got a Flyer, you've got a Gator, you've got an Azumarill, you've got the Fighter and a Ground type, and that Flex pick that is able to put on lots of shield pressure. So it is no wonder we've seen these mirror matches throughout the series of these two trainers.
Yeah, no wonder indeed. And just because they're so effective, the Azumarill's so effective at soaking. It's been quite interesting. Everyone's using the Azumarill to get one shield or maybe 2 shields from the Feraligatr and soak up all the energy. And the Feraligatrs are like, some people are swapping into the Azumarill, be like, sweet, I can do this. And coming out with all that extra energy and just using, each trainer is using the same Pokemon in like almost in opposite ways, but also in the exact same way in the very next battle. It's been like this I don't know, to and fro, backwards and forwards between Azumarill and Feraligatr. Is this just an Australian thing? Is this just what we're doing, or is everyone in the world doing this?
I think this dynamic Shadow Feraligatr gameplay is universal, and it's such a diverse Pokemon. It's why we see it everywhere, right? It's just able to do so many different things, and you can play it so many different ways. You can use it in the lead to get a shield advantage. You can use it in a save swap to create yourself a win switch or create a shield advantage in that matchup. Like, you can put the Feraligatr in the back as a closer. And you know what they say? Shadow Feraligatr is always in the lead, in the back, or on the bench.
It has to be in one of those 3 places. Thank you, Tomahawk. Or if it's not on your team, you're probably not making it this far. It seems to be the theme.
It's 100% Feraligatr usage in this top 3. It seems to be the way forward. 100%
Feraligatr, but not 100% Azumarill, because They Love Jai has gone for a different fairy in his Shadow A9.
Yes.
So,
and Shadow Alola Ninetales has a very unique position in this meta, but we will hopefully be able to get to see some more of that Alola Ninetales gameplay in the grand final.
It would be tricky though, because there's so many Azumarills and there's so many Feraligatrs. It doesn't always land. It's not the most viable in these moves to play with these Pokemon. It's really hard to land it against those water types, especially considering we know it's not running Charm, it's the Powder Snow variant.
Yes, the Powder Snow variation doesn't do quite as well into those water types, only dealing resisted fast attack damage with those Powder Snows. And I believe They Love Dry is actually running the Psyshock variation of the Alolan Ninetales as well, just for a little bit more poison and fighting coverage.
Yeah, you do not want to end up against those poison types. But the predominant poison type is that Clodsire. So, you're quite happy just throwing Weather Ball after Weather Ball after Weather Ball, but it's that Drapion that's there. It is not quite the same, but you're still going to be throwing Weather Balls there, right? Those Stab Weather Balls are going to be doing more than those
I think it's for the Toxapex.
Oh, the Toxapex.
Yeah, the
We haven't
Toxapex
seen-
matchup is shocking for Alolan Ninetales because it does take super effective poison jabs while dealing resisted Powder Snows back. So having a little bit of leeway there with that Psyshock damage is going to be quite good. But also having access to a faster charged attack with that Psyshock over Dazzling Gleam to threaten things like the Primate, like the Annihilate, who actually do neutral counter damage or fighting type damage back.
Yeah, very useful there. And sometimes we get into these habits where we think of the matchup is this from the lead. The lead is like often it's a critical part often, but very rarely does the lead matchup stay the same, especially in a bad scenario. So the battle becomes dynamic. And once a battle becomes dynamic, you can get energy from other Pokemon that you're not essentially going to throw against that Pokemon. You can either save it for another Pokemon, you can get a farm down at the end of another loss. There's so many different dynamics that the flexibility of moveset can be so critical. And then sometimes the lack of flexibility of a moveset can actually cost you very big time in these battles.
And that's what we see with something like a Gastrodon, right? The Gastrodon is a really good Pokemon into matchups like the Clodsire, but even though it's a water type, it doesn't have a very good matchup against Talonflame because it doesn't have access to that super effective damage. It's only throwing resisted ground type or that normal body type, body slam damage. So that's where that flexibility comes in.
Yeah, and since that damage was reduced on Body Slam at the start of the previous season that we've been playing, it's really quite underwhelming. And you've seen some people, Lickitung was such a dominant Pokemon for so many metas that we've been playing in these Play Pokemon series, and now it's just disappeared.
It is sad to see Lickitung go, but I am enjoying this refreshing new meta that we've been having these last few months with the max out season and now the dual destiny season. But we can confirm there has been no rematch granted for game number 5. So we do have that all Perth grand final here in Perth.
In Perth, that's amazing. So we want to say thank you so much for Pokemon Maker. You've been an absolute thrill to have here. We've enjoyed your battles thoroughly, and I hope you have a great time while you're here for the rest of Perth. But now we're moving on. We've got the two young bucks. They are here. We have They Love Jai. You love Jai. I love Jai.
We all love Jai.
Exactly. Versus 89 CGY Flames fan.
And how could you not be a fan?
Oh, it's very hard. He's a very likable young man.
He is an exceptional battler and a very nice young fella. It's been a real pleasure actually getting to know Flames fan today. And also They Love Jai. It's the first time for me meeting him as well. And he's a great guy too.
Yeah, I met them both last year in Perth. Jai, a little bit older, a little bit more social, interacting, and Flames fan, a little bit more of I like to keep to myself and keep things quiet. But the advantage of that is this is a weird tournament. You can unknowingly give away information based on your interactions with people. And, so sometimes those quiet battlers, they can just sneak under the radar a little bit until they're thrust in the spotlight because they're just destroying all of their opponents. A classic example of that is a good friend of yours, Rick Flareon.
I was just thinking of Rick Flareon when you were saying that. He is one of those more reserved battlers, but he is so good at this game. He unfortunately didn't make a super deep run here today, but he is a class battler who I'm sure we'll see more of in the future. But he's one of those people that keeps to himself, does his own thing, plays his own game, and it works for him very well.
Yeah, and that's key for all of you out there. You don't have to be the social butterfly. You don't have to be the quiet. You need to be yourself and use the Pokemon that suit you and your playstyle. Just because, It's AXN is running Charger Bug, you don't have to run it. You need to run what's best for your playstyle and run with that and keep it going because that's going to be your best chance for getting victory in these tournaments.
I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
Is Shadow for Alligator an extrovert or an introvert?
Ooh, that is a great question. I think it's introvertly extroverted.
What? Oh, the mind boggle.
Yes.
I think for Alligator is extroverted. The way it's just ripping and tearing through these battles, it is definitely not conserving anything at all. It is all on display with Shadow for Alligator. But I hope that we can get a quick look at these teams shortly for Flames Fan versus They Love Jai. Let's think about how these battlers are going to be able to take on each other. The Unova Stunfisk. We've seen these two play it before. Who's going to take the advantage there?
Well, I mean, you have to think initially looking at it that They Love Jai has to have an advantage. He was able to beat CGY Flames Fan in their winners final, and now he's there matching it back again, throwing it back in the grand final. So they have had 4 battles of information. They were so close in those matches. There's a lot there, and now they get to run it back and see how's the dynamic going to change. What's going to go? Where's going to land? What's going to land where? There's so many backwards and forwards things that are available here. And we've seen that normal for Alligator from They Love Jai able to do a lot of things that we were not really mentally prepared for it to be able to do.
We say it's normal, but it's been putting on an abnormally good display of PvP here today. And one thing I find really interesting about this matchup is we have that Drapion mirror. And that mirror match is really tricky to play because the Aquatails, while they're not stab, are quicker to get to, but they don't do as much damage as you need it to. So do you go for that crunch debuff or do you just go for the straight Aquatail? It's tricky to play.
It's tricky. It's almost like you're actually setting up for your soft loss because you're not going to come out with a lot of energy because you're pacing the same. And so if you want to go for switch, you're going to go for switch. If you want to go for energy, that's not really an option. You've got to either use a shield or do something that's going to impact the rest of your game. So you've got to understand how those things are going to play out and what they're going to do because you can't just come in with a Feraligatr and Shadow Claw down because you're resisting those Shadow Claws.
Yeah, those... Oh, and we get the Gator mirror into game 1. The shiny regular Gator versus that Shadow Feraligatr, and both trainers overloading on energy. We see now that Flames Fan is clicking on that Hydro Cannon.
Hydro Cannon coming through, and instantly a no shield from They Love Jai was deciding, no, my shields are staying for something more important than this Feraligatr. And you can see the difference in the damage from the Shadow Feraligatr versus the normal here. They Love Jai able to tank that, and and similarly answered, no shield from CGY Flames Fan.
Yeah, both these charge attacks are doing the same amount of damage. We have that mirror match. We see now that Jai is going to push for that shield advantage. He's throwing that second Hydro Cannon now. CGY Flames shielding it.
Yeah, using a shield, and we are looking at potential Shadow Claw down here from CGY Flames Fan. Gets it. This is a lot of HP gone, and dipping with that energy.
Yeah, 89 Flames has decided he wants to save that energy for later, and he's now coming with the Drapion to meet this Unovan Stunfisk. Aquatail coming through now. Does a good little chunk.
It does a good little chunk, but Unovan Stunfisk is not exactly worried about that amount of damage. Happy to take a second one also and just building up that energy there on that little flappy fish.
That little fish is flopping away there as he continues to build up energy. We're now at 2 Mud Bombs. This is going to be a lot of damage onto that Shadow Drapion, taking super effective damage from that ground typing. Oh, it does just barely hang on though, but They Love Jai counting correctly throws before the Aquatail.
Yeah, forced to throw energy here because of the pacing of Aquatail, not able to overfarm by much more than that, and it is going to be let go. And in comes this is a tricky. We have the Jump Love into Superior. They both have Aerial Ace, but only one of them is same type attack bonus.
The difference here is that Jai still has 2 shields in play, but there is a Hydro Cannon or an Ice Beam banked on that Feraligatr as well. We see back-to-back Aerial Aces charged up by They Love Jai. First one not getting shielded by 89 Flames.
Yeah, 89 Flames. You can see it does not need to shield. The Jump Up is so bulky. It's such a bulky Pokemon in Great League. And now They Love Jai forced to use a shield here. Really feel like backs against the wall on this one.
Yeah, They Love Jai is in a tricky situation. He's getting the next Aerial Ace through, but again, Jump Off doesn't need to shield this, and it resists those Vine Whips, doubly being Grass and Flying type.
Yep, and so you can see here on the health bar. Oh, and a quick swap into the Flappy Fish, and he's going to throw an Aerial Ace. This is possibly enough to take it out, but it's resisted by the electric typing.
It is going to be resisted, but it will take out the Stunfisk, and trying anything he can to create some sort of energy advantage here. Jai is throwing the next Aerial Ace. It does get the final shield off of CGY Flames. But the next air laser is coming through. I think we might see a combo play here.
We might see a combo play, but the other option that they CGY Flames fan has is just to let the jump off go because there's so little health. You don't want to transfer any damage.
Oh, and They Love Jai recognizing that there was just too much of an uphill battle and that Superior wasn't proved superior.
No, Inferior is going to be renamed here by that jump off, really stamping its mark on that matchup. You know, we had 3 times weak to that jump off. We had the Feraligatr, we had the Unovan Stunfisk, and the Superior. Jai is going to need to make some changes here. Otherwise, Flames fan could just keep running away and reset this bracket.
Well, that's the key here. Because They Love Jai hasn't lost a set yet, he does have that extra time off his sleeve of only needing to win 1 set of battles, whereas Flamespan has to reset the bracket in this best of 5 if he wants to have a crack at the title in the second best of 5. They Love Jai, he can lose this first set, get information, and come back in the second. We've seen him, however, in last season's Perth Regional, put on a bit of a tear. He lost the first game and then came back and won 3-0.
Yeah, he did, and then came back and won the next 2 in the final. So he actually went on a 5-0 run, forcing Ric Flair to push his way back into the final and win 3-2 in the end of that matchup. But this is the matchup we're here now. That was the old hat. We're on to the new, the young, the improved, the better. They Love Jai are going to need to make some changes, and I think we're going to see some Shadow Drapion from They Love Jai.
Do you know what I haven't seen today is that Malamar.
We have not.
Malamar is actually somewhat threatening in this matchup. It's neutral into everything. It has play everywhere. Even though the Azumarill resists both of the charge attacks, those Psy Waves add up quite quickly. So I think Malamar could be an interesting pick to try and create a shield advantage or set up something for a Feraligatr farm down.
Yeah, that soft loss farm down is something that we've seen be so effective today. And some trainers know how effective it is for this one. And my goodness, we have the Shadow Alolan into the Shadow Drapion.
We see that matchup is coming in. Alolan Ninetales here does take super effective damage from those poison stings. They are adding up quite quickly, but the first Weather Ball is coming through now. Flames fan knows he can take 1.
Can take 1, does not want to take 1 anymore. But the Aquatail pacing is just so high and switches to a Feraligatr to catch an Aquatail. This is a master stroke from They Love Jai.
They Love Jai is taking this resisted damage with no problem, and he's going to start getting his own energy. But the crunch is going to come through now, and that's going to put this Feraligatr low. Fortunately for Jai, this is the regular Feraligatr, not the Shadow. It's going to survive and going to come out with a little bit of energy here to threaten the backline.
Yeah, it is, and we can see, CGY Flamesman choosing to shield this Hydro Cannon, looking to outpace with just those poison stings getting to the Aquatails, and go for a farm down.
Oh, he successfully pulls off the farm down with the Drapion. It has so much energy now. The Stunfisk coming in, but it's the crunch that gets thrown. This is fine for the Stunfisk.
It is absolutely fine. This is actually what he wanted. He wants to get rid of that poison sting damage so that the A9 is free.
Comes in. Oh, and briefly the jump off was met by the Shadow Alolan Ninetales. Now a Side Shot coming through onto the Feraligatr.
Now, this is what you were saying before. Side Shock's there to do some damage here. Oh, it takes a lot of health, but this Shadow Feraligatr can eat it because it is not same type attack bonus.
No, it is not. But the Hydro Cannon is coming through now. They Love Jai is banking it all on his new signature mon of that Stunfisk. It's something to see. So you later to the A9. The Stunfisk is coming in. It's going to go for that farm down with that newly buffed Thundershock.
Yeah, the newly buffed Thundershock really increasing, the Stunfisk stocks here. And you're going to shield up this Hydro Cannon. And the time is not there, so we are potentially looking at a full farm down here. And we've got Jump Off into Stunfisk. I think we've seen this before.
We have, but this was a different circumstance. With the Stunfisk was a lot healthier. And now it has energy advantage. Is that going to be a difference in this matchup?
It is going to be tricky. So both trainers have shields available, but
do a lot.
The damage from discharge is just not enough due to the grass typing of Stunfisk. It means discharges are only neutral, whereas Energy Ball is going to be super effective. And CGY Flames fan letting this one come through.
CGY Flames smartly elects to no shield here, and he is going for that Energy Ball. They Love Jai has a decision. Does he call a shield? No, he's not going to shield it. He's going to let this Energy Ball come through, and that shores up game number 2 for CGY Flames.
Wow, what a turnaround, CGY Flames. Now, Jai played to the win condition, was hoping for the bait. That was the only chance that was there. Did not take it. And so well played to CGY Flames. Absolutely dominating with this jump off. They Love Jai brought the Alolan Ninetales to change it up. It was not able to get onto that jump off. And that was the difference maker in this match. Flamespan was able to guide that jump off into the right position and just really dominated the match from there. I think They Love Jai. I think you're right. He's going to look to change things up. That Malamar is looking more and more tempting.
Malamar might be the secret sauce here that They Love Jai needs to bring home. But he's in a tough spot now. If he wants to prevent that bracket reset, he has to go on a reverse sweep 3-0 against CGY Flames. And at this point in time, not many people have been able to do that.
No, it is going to be a little bit of an uphill battle. But you got to remember, if you're They Love Jai, you still only need to win 3 battles, right? It doesn't matter if you lose the first 3; you just need to win the next 3. The mental, anguish almost that can be on the channel is if these guys are gaining this experience now that they can think about these things differently. Some people really struggle with that. They struggle with the fact that I'm down, I'm losing. Once it's reset, it's good to go again. And here we go into game number 3. Let's see, can They Love Jai leading the Feraligatr into the Drapion?
This is an interesting matchup because both of these Pokemon are pacing to their most effective charged moves at 5 of their 2-turn fast attacks. We see now the charge attack priority goes to the Feraligatr, but Drapion can take this okay because it's not the Shadow version.
Yeah, it is. Again, it's one of those things that changes quite a fair bit. And look at the damage there. And there's the charge attack priority. Through comes the crunch. Will we see They Love Jai? No, choosing not to shield. Very different compared to most trainers with the Shadow Alligator.
Yeah, the Shadow Alligator cannot take that crunch too well. We're going to see now that the Hydro Cannon is coming through. Looks like Flamespan is going to go for that Poison Sting down again.
Yeah, we did see that last match and how effective it was. So here comes the shield here. And will we see a swap out, or is he going to let him get? No. Looks like They Love Jai is going to stay in, and this is going to be a fun one. This Drapion is low on health, but high on motivation.
That is absolutely right. The crunch now coming through. Once again, not clicking that Aqua Tail. The crunch is going to connect with the Unova Stunfisk. It doesn't do a large amount of damage. Doesn't get the defense drop. Aqua Tail following it up.
Aqua Tail is going to be super effective. It is going to do more than you think damage, and that Unova Stunfisk is just barely above the red. And we can see They Love Jai furiously clicking on. Oh, and in comes the Kanto Marek. This is going to be a slap-a-thon. It's going down. There's so many mud slaps coming through. Here comes the Aqua Tail. Is one Aqua Tail even enough to KO from this point?
No, the Kanto Marek can take this Aqua Tail just fine. It is going to be a bit of a slapfest, but he's come out into the jump off now to absorb the second Aqua Tail. This isn't going to do very much damage at all.
No, not much damage. The jump up has just commanded. The CGY Flames fan has just positioned everything absolutely beautifully here. This is going to take a lot of work from They Love Jai to really fight back.
They Love Jai is on an uphill climb, and I don't think there's enough gas in the tank to make it all the way to the top here. That Aerial Ace connects. It does a little bit of damage, but there's still a shield in play and so much health remaining. They Love Jai has conceded the game number 3, and we're going for a bracket reset.
Wow, CGY, Flames fan has absolutely dominated here. Forced the bracket reset. It wasn't like it just happened. He forced it. That was, especially in that last game, that was an absolute stamping with that Shadow Kanto Marowak. Just knew the Drapion was there. There was the Unovan Stunfisk as well. It landed hard. He must have been pumping the air when he saw it was the Feraligatr lead.
Yeah, he was hoping and wishing that there wasn't going to be that Superior back, and the Kanto Marowak went to town. It was great to see that Flamespan made that really good read on what They Love Jai was going to bring. They've played, 7 games against each other now. They're in each other's head. It's tough from here.
It is tough. How do you get out of it? Because if you're They Love Jai, you had that Superior earlier, but it's got stuck on the jump off. And it doesn't do anything. It's such a struggle. It lands quite well on 4 of the other Pokemon. How do you go about this? I think he really needs to move away from that Unovan Stunfisk, as great of a Pokemon as it is, and as cute and amazing as it is. I think he really needs to look at leaning on that Malamar and the Drapion.
Yeah, that double dark line does look tantalizing there for They Love Jai, but he is worried about that Azumarill. He's worried about that jump off. He's worried about that Feraligatr.
Yeah, it does make it tough. It's one of those scenarios like, does he have to make or break? Where does he at? And as we know, They Love Jai locks in straight away. He doesn't muck around. He's not caring. He's locking in his lines. He's believing in his Pokemon. And we've got the Marowak into the Stunfisk. This is terrible for They Love Jai.
CGY Flames has a great lead here. He's got the Kenta Marowak into that Stunfisk. It's met now by the Feraligatr. They Love Jai is going to get to that Hydro Cannon and force a shield out of Flamespan.
Yeah, this could be an interesting tactic. Force those shields and then be able to come from behind and win. Because I think with the extra buff here, he may not need to shield this first Bone Club. It may survive it.
They Love Jai is electing to shield regardless. He wants to keep his Feraligatr healthy. He wants to force switch advantage. It's going to be met now by the Drapion. Because it's so low, the Drapion's going to put a lot of work in here, even with just the Poison Stings alone.
Yep, and is going to do a lot of damage to Hydro Cannon. But I feel like Flamespan has a plan here. He is planning, he's sacrificing this to get rid of all that energy and is going to get to this crunch ahead, which will 100% be KOing See You Later for Alligator.
Yeah, see you later, Gator. As the crunch connects, it's going to do a lot of damage. Now the Stunfisk is coming in. This is just about the only place this Stunfisk has any play in this battle.
Yeah, this is a massive uphill battle because They Love Jai does not know that there's that jump fluff in the back. This is going to be a huge effort for this Serperior to overcome these last two Pokemon on CGY Flames fans team. And this is the start though, right? You've got to start somewhere. You can't just give up. You're in the finals. You don't want to give up.
No, there's no time for giving up in this battle now. We see the Marowak coming in. It is met by the Serperior, and in comes that jump fluff. This is tough. I hope They Love Jai bought his hiking boots today because he's doing a lot of uphill climbing.
There is a lot, and I feel like he has realized at this point this game is going to be nigh on impossible to win, but he's going to play it out, right? Because these trainers are not ones that give up. As Australians, we do not give up. We're going to force every little thing because there's always the potential for catching an aerial ace on that Unovan Stunfisk in the back, which can maybe just do enough to get something out of it, but this is tricky.
They Love Jai is letting this aerial ace come through now. With the 50-second switch clock, you might be able to delay the timer just enough to allow a catch to come through. We do have back-to-back aerial aces stored up onto this Serperior. Jump Fluff again, proving it is superior to the Snake.
It is, and at this point, you can even let this go because that's one Mud Slap, and that Serperior is out of here, and then you can just slappity-slap onto the Ufisk, and there it is, and there's the swap in, and he's got the two Bone Clubs even. They're so close. This is just such a tricky spot for They Love Jai. Where is he going to draw from? What's he going to draw from for the rest of this matchup? I know it's not over here, but it feels so over.
Flames fan taking a 4-0 win streak over They Love Jai. This is huge, Flames fan. He's got all of the momentum. They Love Jai is on the back foot. He needs to find something. He needs to change his strategy in a way that allows him to open up an opportunity to force a win.
Yeah. So I think what They Love Jai has been trying to do is he's trying to think ahead and see, okay, Flames fan knows I need to change my strategy. So if I keep my strategy the same, he changes, I'll be fine. I'll be fine. But it hasn't happened yet. And it's like, if it hasn't happened, it hasn't happened. Do you just keep forcing that round brick into the square hole and hoping it goes through? Or do you okay, you need to step back and think and realize, and because it's been such a long day for these battlers, this is where the rubber meets the road. It's really hard. You need to think about these things. How are you going to do this? How am I going to land things? And I think the one thing They Love Jai really needs to do is make sure he is not triple weak to that jump fluff. He really needs to consider that and be trusting that his other Pokemon can still get the job done for him.
Yeah, it's so tough for They Love Jai because his best answer for that jump fluff is the Alolan Ninetales. But we've seen time and time again, Flames fan bringing those double water Pokemon to really nullify that Alolan Ninetales. So it's great team reading here from Flames fan. He's living rent-free in They Love Jai's head.
Yep, 4-0. Like 4-0 rent-free at the moment. And that is a really hard place to come back from. But that's where the championship mentality comes from. You need to land these things. You need to draw from that. You don't let the battle come to you. You take the fight over to CGY Flames fan.
And this is a polar opposite of what we saw at the last Perth Regional, where They Love Jai went on a 5-0 winning streak and then lost it to Rick Flareon. Can he learn from that experience and pull off a reverse sweep? But we see the stun fisk into the jump off. Oh no, They Love Jai. This is not it, my friend.
This is not where this wants to be. This is just forcing himself. He thought it would be in the back, but it is ended up in the lead here. Now, this match is not over. They Love Jai is an excellent battler, going to get a neutral discharge into this jump off.
Discharge coming through, jump off, shrugging it off with no problem. Energy Ball is going to come back in return. Stunfisk can take it quite comfortably, even though it's super effective. They are both bulky Pokemon. The damage isn't adding up just yet.
Not adding up, but it will, because the second one will definitely be enough to KO this Unova Stunfisk. But it's attempting to do its best to chip away. Chipperoo.
Yeah, unfortunately for They Love Jai, he's got that Alolan Ninetales in back. It wants to be here against the Jumpluff, but in the back it's going to meet the Drapion or the Feraligatr, and that's not as comfortable.
No, and Feraligatr seems like it's going to be such a safe swap for, and here it comes, and it's choosing to go into that Drapion with those super effective poison stings.
Yeah, the Drapion is going to take the Weather Ball here. I wouldn't be surprised to see They Love Jai switch into his own Feraligatr at this moment, saving that Ninetales for later in the game. But no, you're letting him stay in just a little bit longer, get a little bit more energy, going for that second Weather Ball. Oh, and he catches the Aquatail.
Aquatail catch, fantastic for They Love Jai. Is forcing anything he can get for this matchup to try and get the win. But this Drapion has so much energy. We've seen this before. Catches the Aquatail, but there's a crunch right there. You have to use your shields.
They Love Jai is on the back foot once again in this game 2 of the bracket reset. Oh, and the defense drop coming through. This is putting even more pressure on They Love Jai. He's going for that Hydro Cannon now, just on charge attack priority to get rid of this Drapion.
Yep, and what we can see here is CGY Flamesman is using their shield, wants to force this last shield out of They Love Jai, because they know they're really strong with that Alolan Ninetales in the back, and lets it go. Will it survive? No, this is taking Feraligatr out of this matchup.
Feraligatr is gone, but we're met with another one, the Shadow Feraligatr from CGY Flamespan in the one shield scenario. It's got a good matchup, and he's called the bait as well.
Has called the bait, knowing that it probably will survive even the Side Shock and be able to get to 2 Hydro Cannons to finish this matchup. And here comes the Side Shock, though. This could make the game a little bit more interesting. Is he going to call it?
Oh, and he's called him. I think this is going to KO the Feraligatr, and then it's going to come down to the Jumpluff in the back, and it's a little bit low. Oh, but the poison stings are going to add up. It's on 1 health. This isn't enough.
This is not enough, unfortunately. Jumpluff, 1 Fairy Wind, taking out CGY Flameman has gone 5-0 in these finals. It is now 2-0 to Force. They Love Jai needs to pull something out here. We've been calling for it. We've been begging for it, but these 2 young trainers have been battling absolutely phenomenally. I have not seen CGY Flamesman dominate anyone ever like this. Like, he is playing out of his mind, because They Love Jai is a phenomenal trainer.
They Love Jai has been undefeated until now. This is an incredible showing from 89 Flames fan. This young kid on the block has just stamped his name all over the Perth Regional Championship, and I think he's got enough to bring it home here.
I think all he needs to do is that as long as that Jumpluff stays away from that Alolan Ninetales, stays away from that Drapion, it is going to absolutely dominate the matchup. It's setting the Feraligatr up. It's setting his own Drapion up. He doesn't need to do anything crazy. He doesn't need to do anything that much different. You just need to let it do its thing. It's been winning for you. Just send it home. Send it home.
He only needs 1 more game win to secure this Perth Regional title. CGY Flames on the cusp of earning his spot at the World Champs. And we see the Malamar is here versus the Shadow Feraligatr.
Oh, and it's throwing a superpower on charge attack priority. So it is able to now survive this Hydro Cannon, and we'll be able to get to 2 charge moves. This will do a huge amount of damage. Look at that HP bar.
Oh, it only just survives as well, and it's got 2 superpowers loaded, so it's going to be able to fire off both here before it gets KO'd by the Shadow Claw. Feraligatr spends a shield. Next superpower coming through.
Next superpower coming through. Now it is debuffed. This Feraligatr may just hang on. Is there going to be a shield? No shield coming up this Malamar, and it does survive.
This is great now for They Love Jai. He's earned shield advantage. He's going to get energy advantage after this matchup as well. This might be just what he needed.
Yes, and look, the extra bulk of the regular time. And here comes the Shadow Kanto Marowak. It is doing huge amounts of damage with those mud slaps. And They Love Jai is going to need to force something here. Oh, no shield, letting it go.
Oh my gosh. What is CGY Flames thinking? Is he going to put it all on the jump off here, down a shield?
Down a shield, and those fast moves do not do damage. The Fairy Wind is not adding up here. What is Flamesfan going through his head and going for a catch? Does not catch. They Love Jai went for a catch on the Stunfisk, and look at that energy now coming into this. Oh my gosh, this is
I
crazy.
think this is a great play from Jai actually, because we've seen that the Ice Beam doesn't quite one-hit KO the jump off, so he's going to save the energy for later. Just chip away at the jump off with these discharges. It is neutral damage that we're seeing coming out from this Stunfisk here. It tickles that jump off, but now it's an Ice Beam range.
It is an Ice Beam range, but potentially after the fast moves, is it going to get into Hydro Cannon range?
Well, that is true. It could well do. And we still also see that 89 Flames has that for Alligator on a teeny amount of health. Goes for the catch and he misses.
Misses the catch. Both trainers have missed the catch in this matchup. Here comes the discharge. One discharge. Will two discharges KO? This is an absolutely critical moment in this matchup.
I don't think two discharges will do enough to KO, but there is enough health and energy on that for Alligator in the back to try and secure this matchup. 89 Flames recognizing he doesn't need to shield this one, but he's gone so low now. I don't think he can pull it away.
No, the Shadow Claw damage could potentially be enough. And will They Love Jai using a shield? The bait goes shielded.
Has They Love Jai found the loose con here by shielding the Stunfisk? Oh, we see the front Alligator coming in. It's going to get the Shadow Claw down, and he secures game number 3.
Wow, They Love Jai fighting back. That Malamar, he was still double weak to the jump off in the back, but that extra shield because of the Malamar meant that he was able to overcome that adversary with the Unova Stunfisk and with that shadow, the normal type for Alligator. So not normal type, the non-shadow for Alligator.
That's right. I've been asking Jai to bring this Malamar the last 6 games. He finally has brought it in, and he's won a game back off CGY Flames. It now has swung the momentum just a little bit in They Love Jai's favour. Sometimes that's all it takes. We saw that last season. That's all it took for Rick Flareon to come back.
That's all you need. Now that hope. You can see that hope. I think rebellions are built on hope. I've learned from watching too many movies in my lifetime. And now They Love Jai has it there. And I really think we might see a resurgence. That jump off was not as dominant as it had been in the previous matchups. That extra shield really just set him up. Malamar, fishy legs. You need to go into coaching, my friend, because he must have heard you. And here we go, locking it in. We're straight away. Game number 4. And it's this for Alligator into the Marowak. This is an interesting matchup because the Kanto Marowak can shield and slap its way through this matchup.
It sure can, but this regular for Alligator can take a Bone Club and still force 2 shields out of this Marowak. So it's going to be a lot tighter than the Shadow version would be. We do see the jump off in the back. And do you know what else we see in the back? The Alolan Ninetales.
Oh, that Alolan Ninetales. So switch advantage is going to be paramount in this matchup. And yes, They Love Jai is choosing to use a shield here. Does not want to die to a Bone Club. Wants to be able to get another charge move and put CGY Flamesfan into the 0 shield scenario. And immediately shielding this next Hydro Cannon.
Yeah, he is going to double shield his Kanto Marowak rather, as he continues to overfarm on energy, gets to the Bone Club. He's going to throw it just before that Hydro Cannon comes through. Is a decision here for Jai. He's going to shield. He's going to force switch advantage here. Or does Flamesfan try to go for a catch? We see the Hydro Cannon coming through, and it does get caught on the Drapion.
Caught on the Drapion. This is a very interesting development here because this is going to do an absolute ton of damage. And oh no! And he's going into the Alolan Ninetales. He had the hard counter there in the Stunfisk, but it chose a different direction, making a call. This is enormous to this matchup.
They Love Jai has called that there won't be the jump off in the back. He's come in with his Alolan Ninetales, but that might be the game, the match, the region winning mistake here. As we see the charge attack coming through, Drapion is gone, but the Marowak is still in. The jump off is still in. This game is not over. The jump off comes in.
Whoa, the jump off comes in. The time is there. This is going to be a double super effective weather ball. This is crazy play. This is going to come in. This is going to almost knock out this this jump off. Look at that damage coming through. Oh, and there's the sky on the aerial ace.
I thought this game was over, but I think I might be wrong. It's still all to play for here. The Marowak is coming back in, but this Unhoven Stunfisk is a little bit bulky, and it's going to get to a move here, I think.
It's going to get. Is that going to be enough? Is this Mud Bomb going to be enough? The Bone Club will do a large amount of damage to. It's super effective there, and it is going to outpace this Mud Bomb. Is this enough to take out this Kento Marowak? And then there's still another Pokemon in the back. They've both got Pokemon in the back. This is so tight in this matchup. It does not.
It doesn't KO. We go for this catch, but it doesn't get through. The Marowak is going to get the Bone Club, and this is going to KO the Stunfisk. The CGY Flames fan might have just secured game number 3.
CGY Flames fan is going to be your Perth 2024 regional champion. Congratulations, young man. The youngest competitor in the field against the second youngest competitor in the field. Dominating fashion, 6-1 with the bracket reset.
That was an incredible display there from CGY Flames. I'm lost for words at this point. Like, what did we just see?
What we saw is that there is a young man out there that everybody needs to be aware of because he is coming through. He dominated the entire bracket, didn't lose a game till he came into the winners finals against They Love Jai. Happened to go out, then took Pokemon Maker's money away from him, and then came in and then just dominated. And we have, once again, a Perth local winning the Perth Regional. Congratulations, Flames fan. Well done.
There's only been one time in the history of the Perth Regional that it hasn't been won by a Perth local. And we are seeing now that Flames fan has brought that tradition back to the Perth community. I know our good friend Debbie Pebble is ecstatic about this news. I'm ecstatic that we got to see so many hype matches in that grand final series. That was so good to watch.
That was incredible. Now, we are awaiting, we are actually going to have an interview, I believe, with They Love Jai coming in, going to have a little chat with us. So we're waiting here. So we've got our man Steve or Josh.
Who?
Steve, Josh, I don't know.
Who?
Can we trust either of them?
I don't know a Josh.
Oh,
I thought I knew a Steve.
Didn't you know he's a twin?
What? He's a twin?
Yeah, there's actually 2 of them. We're going to start new rumors here. But yeah, he's on the floor. I believe we're going to be speaking to They Love Jai. And I mean,
the
like
question
we said,
on everyone's lips is going to be, why didn't you bring the Stunfisk into the Drapion?
Oh, it was there. He shielded the second time. He had the switch advantage in his favor. Sometimes you just outthink yourself. I think what he was thinking, must have been thinking is, there is a Drapion in the back. I need to save my Ufisk for that. Oh no, the other way. The other way. Yeah. The Drapion was there. No, I do apologize. There was another counter in the back. So you overthink it, and that can be what causes your downfall. But we do have somebody very special, this young man who has absolutely battled his heart out, and he is here and he's joining us on the desk now. So we are going to slide across. We'll get some chairs in, and we're going to have words with the young man himself, and we'll invite our other casters
we'll be right
in
back
as well.
in just a minute.
Won't be long. Please stay tuned.